Comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free. You get it all, an incredible value for one low price. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-308-6802 or go to buyinstaseal.com. So call 1-800-308-6802 or order online at buyinstaseal.com.
Welcome to Wayne Allyn Root Show.
Good to see you again, man. How's everything going in Viva Las Vegas?
He loves Israel. He loves our country.
I'm always ready to fight, Gary. Always ready to fight.
One of the most popular hosts.
You are my Superman. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's got radio. He got television. He's got a beautiful wife.
We are under invasion at the border.
This is the kind of thing he talks about because he's about common sense.
Make faith and belief in country cool again.
You are truly a breath of fresh air. Your fans love you.
Thank you very much, and they love you too, and for good reason, because you have a spirit, and you get it at the same time. You're both angry, but a happy warrior nevertheless.
Wayne Allyn Root.
I salute you.
Where's Wayne? Where is Wayne Allyn Root?
All right, the root's on fire. Saturday morning again with Real America's Voice and America's Top 10 Countdown. I'm Wayne Allyn Root, your Secretary of War. You've heard of the mainstream media. Welcome to the Wayne Stream Media. I'm the loudest MAGA mouth in the USA, coming to you from Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, and my hometown for the last 23 years. I'm the hardest working man in showbiz, certainly conservative showbiz, 24/7, with the fastest show in the history of TV. This show is conservative, patriotic talk on steroids, squared to the 1,000th power. Reminder, my command central, rootforamerica.com. At the top, 4 tabs. Watch Wayne on TV. Listen to Wayne on the radio. Listen to Wayne's podcast. Watch Wayne's daily video podcast. Click and you're on live, or you get links to all the places to watch or listen to me every day, or you can watch or listen to a library of all my recent shows. Rootforamerica.com. My email, wayneroot@gmail.com. And finally, I hope you're watching my daily video podcast. It's called War Zone. It's the official podcast of the Gateway Pundit, Monday through Friday. You can watch it at thegatewaypundit.com, right at the top, between 6 and 8 p.m. Eastern, every day, Monday through Friday, or at patriot.tv or at rumble.com. You just type in Wayne Root, Wayne Allyn Root, or War Zone. All right, before we get to my opening commentary, I want you to check out the new single, The Somali Waltz, by artist Natasha Owens. It was released in partnership with Real America's Voice. It's a comedy song with a satirical take on the current situation in Minnesota involving the Somali fraud story and Tim Walz. And you can download it right now. Just scan the QR code on the upper right of the screen. When we show the clip, Natasha, my good friend, she's been on the show so many times. She's in the background right here in the Oval Office with myself and my wife, Cindy. You see Natasha and her husband, David, in the Oval Office with Wayne Allyn Root. My buddy, Natasha Owens, the Somali Waltz. Take a look. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. The Somali Waltz.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
All right. Thank you, Natasha Owens. That is great stuff. It's time for my opening commentary. It's titled, President Trump, great job with Greenland, but what if that's just the opening warm-up event? The main event is MAGA. Make Alberta great again. I know virtually nothing about Greenland, like most Americans, but President Trump plays chess while the rest of D.C. plays checkers. So if President Trump is determined Greenland is vital to U.S. national security interests, I am all in. And it appears Trump has pulled it off. His nonstop, relentless pursuit of Greenland has resulted in the framework for a deal to somewhat, maybe somewhat, or maybe fully control Greenland. At worst, America will gain new military bases to protect our flank from attack by Russia or China. Bravo, President Trump. Well played, as usual. But I've argued for years now on TV and radio shows that Alberta, Canada, should become our 51st state. Alberta blows Greenland away in every way. So while Greenland may be strategically important to us and we want to control it, it also presents several negatives. Greenland could become a U.S. territory, but it should never become our 51st state. First, because a large percentage of the people of Greenland live below the poverty level and have spent their lifetimes dependent on government checks. Greenland is built around the Denmark welfare state model. Second, because once Greenland is a part of America, voters who are dependent on welfare their whole lives would almost certainly vote Democrat, therefore adding 2 new Democrat U.S. senators. Greenland is another Puerto Rico. 47% of Puerto Ricans are on welfare. The current highest state in America for percentage on welfare is New Mexico, with 20% of its citizens on welfare. The last thing we need is Puerto Rico as our 51st state. All it would add to America is a ton of welfare spending and 2 new Democrat U.S. senators. Why would Greenland be any different? So in the best of all worlds, President Trump gains control of Greenland or access to anything he wants in Greenland, more land for U.S. military bases, but we don't own Greenland. We don't want to pay their welfare bill, and we don't want to lose U.S. Senate control by adding 2 new Democrat senators. But Alberta is everything Greenland is not. Alberta is the polar opposite of Greenland. Alberta is the perfect 51st state. After President Trump puts the finishing touches on his winning Greenland negotiations, he should set his sights on making Alberta part of the United States. Why Alberta? Well, first, their politics. Alberta is the most conservative province in Canada. Alberta is the closest thing Canada has to MAGA. Alberta is pro-fossil fuel. Alberta is anti-climate change, anti-carbon taxes, and anti-environmental economic suicide. Alberta is pro-gun. Alberta is anti-higher taxes and regulation. Alberta rebelled against Canada's draconian pandemic lockdowns, masks, business closures, church closures, and vaccine mandates. Those are our kind of people. But wait, it gets better. Calgary's percentage of citizens on welfare and Alberta's percentage of citizens on welfare, very low, 4.1%. Fantastic. Again, our kind of people. And then there's the most important selling point of all, natural resources. Alberta is rich in oil, natural gas, gold, silver, diamonds, lumber, rare earth minerals, and critical minerals. Now think of all the oil and gas pipelines we could build directly from Alberta to America. Adding Alberta to America would make us the most oil-rich nation in the world by a mile. Alberta is the American dream. But wait, I'm not done. As an added bonus, Alberta is just as important to our national security as Greenland. Did you know that? NORAD bases in the northern part of Alberta are essential to our U.S. national security. And Alberta is the gateway to the all-important Arctic that every superpower, China, Russia, America, suddenly wants to control. I've saved the best news for last. Timing is everything in life. And at this moment in time, Alberta wants to leave Canada. They're in full-scale revolt. Alberta's citizens are standing in hours-long lines in sub-zero temperatures and snow and ice and in the dark to sign the petition to put a referendum on the ballot to leave Canada. They need 177,000 signatures to put it on the ballot. But the organizers say they're going to get over 1 million. Right now, they're getting 10,000 signatures a day. No one could believe their eyes. No one has ever seen such long lines in the cold or such enthusiasm. The people of Alberta want to leave Canada now. President Trump, now's the time. Timing is everything. Let's make a deal. Let's make an offer. Alberta is our perfect 51st state. This is the moment to make the offer and to be relentless. And we'd almost certainly gain 2 new Republican U.S. senators with Alberta as our 51st state. I think it's meant to be, because look at the perfect fit for MAGA. Make Alberta great again. It fits. If we have to, let's trade California for Alberta. And if need be, add 2 players to be named later. Throw in Oregon and Washington. I'm only kidding. Sort of. So, President Trump, after you're done with your opening warm-up event, the Greenland deal, please aim your full attention and relentless mindset on the main event, adding Alberta as our 51st state. And a P.S. even if this will never happen or can never happen, even if it's impossible, Canada won't let Alberta go. Think of how wonderful it will be to drive the Marxist Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and the woke Liberals of Canada into fits of rage and give them all-time record high levels of Trump derangement syndrome. That alone is worth the price of admission. Mega! Make Alberta great again. All right, sponsor of this show, main title sponsor for 5 years on everything I've done, and for the 3.5 years of this show, America's Top 10, Energized Health. I joined the Energized Health program in November of 2020, so 5 years ago. And from that moment, they've been the main title sponsor. Thank you, Energized Health. Thanks for signing the front of the checks and paying for this show. Changed my life, changed my career, expanded and extended my career. I lost 25 pounds of fat and gained 10 pounds of muscle in only 88 days. Notice I didn't say 25 pounds of weight. I haven't lost 1 pound, but it redirected everything in my body. That's why I look like a different person. 25 pounds of fat gone, 10 pounds of muscle on. That was to start the program in only 88 days. That was 5 years ago. Nothing has changed. Haven't gained any new fat. Haven't lost any of the muscle. My life has never been the same. By the way, I gained 4 new TV shows and podcasts past the age of 61. I don't think that's ever happened in TV history. Everyone's career is over their 60s. I'm just getting started. And I know why it happened. The fat melted off my face. I'm going to be 65 years old in this year, 2026, in July. And I look younger now than I did at age 50. That's impossible. I'm going to be on Medicare. Energized Health's my fountain of youth. Show those pictures. Me at age 50, 15 years ago, and me now, just about to be 65 and on Medicare. This is the program for all of you. It's simple, it's easy, it's healthy. You could stay on it for life. For decades, Energized Health has transformed the lives of thousands of people using the breakthrough science of intercellular hydration. Here's your chance to be like Wayne. Energized Health's offering my fans the WAR 40% off discount, 40% off. Just say WAR or type in WAR when you go to energizedhealth.com or speak to one of their reps. Say WAR, 40% off, automatic, energizedhealth.com. We'll be right back, and we will start America's Top 10 Countdown.
Brought to you in part by Energized Health. Transform your health from the inside out with intercellular hydration.
All right, it's Wayne Alaroot. I'm joined now by Kip Herridge, an economic expert, my personal financial advisor for the last 22 years, CEO of Vertical Research Advisory, his website, VRAinsider.com. Kip, the VRA ended 2025 with gains of 35% and has now beaten the market 19 of the last 22 years. That means you're beating the market almost 90% of the time. It's amazing. Tell my fans, how do you do it?
Hey, Wayne, great to be back on. You know, my story, as you know, is Wall Street, 15 years, took 7 companies public, raised several $100 million, and I retired at the age of 38, came back to Texas where I live with my family. We're a family business. I started the VRA in 2003. My wife, both our sons work here. And instead of taking your money and investing it for you, we're not a brokerage firm. We're an investment newsletter. We tell you what we're doing with our money so you can do what you want to with yours. And again, we've beaten the market in 19 and 22 years. We're very proud of that. And we're looking for a very, very big year this year in 2026.
Why do you believe this structural bull market that we're in is just getting started?
You got to understand, a structural bull market is the strongest bull market you can possibly have. It's being driven by fundamentals, and that's what we have here. We also have the combination of what we call our big three: the Trump economic miracle, Trump's tax cuts, deregulation, and tariffs, combined with the innovation revolution, which is just getting started. It's much, much more than just AI. This is innovation like we've not seen in the last 100 years combined, and it's going to change everyone's life dramatically for the better, we believe. And it can create millions of more jobs than most people believe. And third, it's this absolute ocean of liquidity that exists out there. Very few people talking about this. $22 trillion in the M2 money supply, $7 trillion sitting in cash and money markets, $40 trillion sitting in home equity. We just need lower rates to loosen that up. We think Trump's going to bring all that home to us this year, and it's going to have the market soaring for a number of years.
You have made me a fortune. You're brilliant. You're a genius. What makes you so different?
In our second letter in 2003, I recommended gold at $350, silver at $5 an ounce. and we're now up over 1,200%. Actually, up 1,800% in silver in the recommendation. What makes you unique there, and the reason people should save in gold, and we tell you to get your money out of fiat currencies, get your money out of bank accounts, it's being printed into oblivion, save in gold. If you've done that since we recommended in 2003, your $100,000 investment will be worth $1.6 million versus the less than $100,000 you'd have in bank accounts. Gold and silver, the miners especially, and the future, of course, of Bitcoin. That's a powerful combination, we believe, for the next 4 or 5 years.
VRAinsider.com. Go there now. Kip Herriage, thank you for all you've done. All right, the root's on fire. Remember, my command central is root4america.com. Anytime you miss this show, just go to Root for America. At the top, it says Watch Win on TV. You click on it, and you're watching the library of shows you might have missed this week or last week or the week before. I got them all there. My podcasts, all there. My radio shows, all there. Everything's there. You can email me anytime, wayneroot@gmail.com. You can also check out my social media, at Real Wayne Root at every social media site, Twitter, Gab, Truth Social, Getter, at Real Wayne Root. Time to start America's Top 10 Countdown. Number 10. We are getting so ripped off. It's becoming clearer and clearer. Democrats have weaponized the whole U.S. government to steal and loot taxpayer money by the billions. Over time, it adds up to trillions. Just a few headlines. Illegal aliens cost Texas hospitals over $1 billion in 2025. Multiply that times 50 states. It's insanity. 4,000 licensed daycares exist in a 20-mile radius in Boston. Half of them opened since 2020. You know what that means. Since Biden became president, over 4 years, they opened 4,000 daycares. You know it's all wasted, stolen money. California man arrested for allegedly stealing millions in homeless funds. He was supposed to be taking care of homeless people. He used the money to buy for a down payment on a $7 million mansion and to buy a $125,000 Range Rover. Radical left globalist anti-ICE activist who helped storm the Minnesota church collected over $1 million running a scam anti-poverty nonprofit. They're all mad and they all hate Trump and they all want to stop this because they're getting rich off of scamming, stealing, defrauding, and looting the taxpayers. Dr. Oz says Minnesota fraud cover-up reaches the highest levels of state government. You know that means Tim Walz and the mayor of Minnesota, mayor of Minneapolis. And finally, they're not just ripping you off by stealing your money from organizations and from government agencies. They're ripping you off with green energy. In Maryland, there is a power bill crisis. People are starving. People are literally freezing in their homes. They can't pay their electric bills because of green energy. One person says, I'm $6,000 behind. How am I going to pay my bill this month? 14,000 residents cry for help online. This is what Democrats and liberal thinking and green energy and climate change BS has done to us. Countdown number 9. All right, forget the theft, the fraud, the lobbying. That's all important. But even more important, the Democrat Party hates you, hates me, hates anyone who loves this country, hates MAGA. Just a few headlines. Jury nullification. Far-left jury in Chicago finds a Latin Kings gang leader who ordered the murder-for-hire plot of a Border Patrol leader, Greg Bovino, right? That's the Border Patrol leader. He wanted to murder him, and they find him not guilty. It's jury nullification. Insurrection. Minnesota Democrat Congresswoman Angie Craig says local cities are telling business owners to call 911 when they see ICE so local police can stop ICE from rounding up illegals. 5 white tech workers eating lunch in a deli in Minneapolis are trying to eat their lunch, and a mob comes and screams, "Get out of our effing neighborhood. I hope you die." They think they're ICE, but they're tech workers. This is how ICE is treated. Dr. Oz himself, Dr. Oz, is flipped off, followed and threatened, has his car surrounded while investigating child welfare fraud in Minneapolis. Congresswoman Delia Ramirez announces the Melt ICE Act to defund ICE and prevent immigrants from being detained and accuses ICE of being murderers. Leftist activists admits to leading a 20,000-strong ICE Watch network to dox ICE agents in Salt Lake City. In other words, give out their name and home address so some leftists will go murder the ICE agent, his wife, his children. New York City cops disrespected at Big Apple Hospital after being mistaken for ICE agents. The employees of the hospital scream, "Get out of here, you're not wanted here." Ohio nurse posts disturbing wish for the upcoming birth of White House Press Secretary Karen Leavitt's baby. The good news is, as of Friday, she was fired from the hospital. It just goes on and on and on. Chris Cuomo tries to act moderate. He warned CNN's Scott Jennings over his refusal to stop using the terms illegals. He says, don't be a tough guy. Someone's probably going to wind up getting even with you. What is he intimating? Because you use the word illegals, you're going to get punched in the face. Chris Cuomo is not a moderate. He is an extreme radical Marxist. Countdown number 8. As opposed to President Trump, who loves America, loves U.S. citizens, loves patriots, and keeps his promises, there are charts out there of Trump's first year of his second term. He made promises of economic growth. The economy is growing leaps and bounds. He promised he'd get inflation under control. He's gotten it under control, 1.6% inflation in the last 3 months. He promised a trade would be better since peaking at $136 billion. U.S. trade deficit fell to $29 billion, the lowest in 16 years. Employment, all the illegals losing their jobs, American citizens getting jobs. Gas prices, lowest in at least 4 years since Trump was president. Mortgage rates and interest rates dropping. And as far as the border crossings plummet 95% from the Biden era, the lowest in history. Here's one more. Trump being the great patriot. The IRS announces that $1,776 warrior dividend for all our troops. They all got it in December. I walked in a bank and the bank teller is a friend of mine. Her son is in the United States Army. He already had his 1776 warrior dividend bonus, and he used it to buy a new pickup truck. God bless Trump. God bless America. God bless the military. Trump announces and the IRS announces that entire bonus is tax-free. Wow. We love our warriors. Countdown number 7. I'm always tough on Attorney General Pam Bondi and the GOP Congress, who both have done far too little, in my opinion. But this week, they both got their asses in gear. It's almost as if they know midterms are coming and they got to do something. At Pam Bondi's direction, the FBI arrests 2 key leftists involved in the evil attack on the church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Good job, Pam Bondi. Good job. What else is happening? How about Ilmar Omar under federal investigation as the House GOP probes how she made millions while in Congress? Busted. California ordered to return $1 billion after a Dr. Oz-led audit exposes federal health care's funds were spent on illegals. House Republicans pass a reconciliation bill banning welfare for illegal aliens, and the House Oversight Committee votes to charge both Bill and Hillary Clinton with criminal contempt for defying congressional subpoenas. Good job this week. Countdown number 6. Takes on the world in Davos. He tells them the 2020 election was stolen and people will soon be prosecuted for what they did. And he tells the Canadian Prime Minister, Canada lives because of the United States. Always remember that. Bravo, President Trump. Countdown number 5. Whatever happened to global warming? Another liberal scam. I'm sorry that you're all suffering this weekend and for the next 10 to 14 days, but guess what? This is the most massive winter storm and freeze that we've seen in perhaps 40 years, maybe in a century. If the weather forecasts are right as I record this show, this is going to be an incredible snow, ice, freezing event for 2/3 of the country, the worst in 40 years. There is no global warming. It was always a scam, but I hope you keep warm. All right, this segment has been sponsored by Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. The golden age of Trump prosperity is all about making America the energy capital of the world. Enter Lost Soldier Oil and Gas. It took 40 years to piece together this 40,000-acre giant gas discovery in Wyoming. It's estimated to contain up to 6 trillion cubic feet of gas, making it one of the largest natural gas discoveries in the Rocky Mountain region in the past 30 years, with a management forecast projecting just the first 25 wells to produce 400 million cubic feet per day of natural gas, and by 2035, targeted production of over 1 billion cubic feet per day. This surge in AI data centers is placing soaring demand on energy resources. This is how we solve the problem. This is how we power the AI future of America with inexpensive, clean, natural gas. Headed by oil and gas legend Mark Brunner, whose previous public companies delivered spectacular returns for investors. At their peaks, Pinnacle Energy grew about 100 to 1 for investors. Ultra Petroleum soared from 15 cents to $200 per share. At its peak, a $10,000 investment turned into $13 million over 10 years. To learn more about Lost Soldier Oil and Gas, go to lostsoldier.com. Lostsoldier.com. Fill out the contact form. They'll get right back to you. That's lostsoldier.com. And I am an investor. I believe in this project. All right. Up next, great interview with the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security.
Donald Trump Jr. here with an urgent message about retirement accounts in America. My father just changed 401ks forever by initiating the process that will allow gold into 401ks. But here's even better news. You don't need to wait for your 401k provider. You can use this strategy today. With a self-directed gold IRA from the Birch Gold Group, you can convert your IRA or 401k into an account with all the same tax benefits, but you own something that will be there when you need it. To find out more, click the link below to get a free info kit on gold IRAs from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group. Inside, they will show you exactly how to diversify your IRA or 401k into an IRA in gold. Do it now before the rest of America jumps in. Click below for your free info kit.
This right here is confidence in a bottle.
Not only does it change you on the outside, but something in the inside, knowing that you're looking better.
It makes me feel so much more confident than I've ever felt in my life.
They are some of the hottest videos on social media. Those videos claiming to instantly get rid of bags under your eyes. Well, today we're going to see one for ourselves and let you be the judge. It's called Plexiderm, and lifestyle expert Annette Figueroa is here to tell us why she says this one is for real.
This one is for real, and I'm so excited. We even have a video, and you'll notice the model has bags underneath his eyes and some sagging, and all he uses is a small amount on a clean, dry face, and that's how easy it is.
All right, what's the active ingredient?
Okay, so it's silicates that are minerals found in shale rock, and what it does is it tightens and lifts the appearance of bags underneath your eyes in as little as 10 minutes, no prescriptions, and very little effort. Even watching the video, this is a real it's a model, but it's a real guy with real bags underneath his eyes.
My real true opinion is holy words I can't say on camera. This is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, I could feel it just lifting my skin. It was amazing. It feels good. Feels great. Looks even better.
And I did this to my father. We were at home. So we applied it to his under eye bags. And let me tell you, we were so excited. In under 10 minutes, they visibly disappeared from view. And now it is literally part of both of our daily routines. He calls me every single month saying, hey, Annette, I'm out of Plexiderm. Please send me more. And not only does it work on the bags, it works on the appearance of crow's feet, fine lines, and wrinkles. The way you want to do it is you want to have a clean, dry face. You use a small amount because it's so powerful. You have high school reunions, you have events you want to go to, you want to look years younger. This is it.
At our $14.95 price, it's the best way to try Plexiderm and see it work for yourself after your first application. Call the number on your screen.
Call 1-800-854-0295.
All right, welcome back. The Root's on fire. I'm Wayne Allaroot. This is America's Top 10 Countdown. RootForAmerica.com is the website. You can email me anytime, wayneroot@gmail.com. This is our interview segment. Great guest today, Tricia McLaughlin, Assistant Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Lots of controversy in the news. Tricia, welcome to the show. How are you?
Wayne, thank you so much for having me on. Great to be a first-time guest.
It's our honor to have you on. Democrats and the media are describing ICE operation going on in Minneapolis as a Nazi-like Gestapo organization. First of all, I'm Jewish, so I resent them even saying that, how disgusting that is. Our great law enforcement doing a great job, in my opinion. But you describe what's happening, Tricia.
What our law enforcement officers are doing on the ground is enforcing the rule of law and protecting those American citizens when Tim Walz and Jacob Frey have refused to do so time and time again. As we speak, Wayne, there are 1,360 criminal legal aliens sitting in Minneapolis's jail, sitting in their custody, and yet they will not turn them over to ICE. And in fact, in the last year alone, Tim Walz turned over 470 criminal legal aliens. That includes child pedophiles, drug traffickers, thieves, burglars, sexual predators back onto Minneapolis' streets. So that's why we have to have a presence there, because we don't have the backing of state and local law enforcement. But the demonization you're talking about of our law enforcement, calling them Gestapo, calling them Nazis, these disgusting names, well, that is contributing directly to the fact that they are seeing a 1,000% increase in assaults against them. Death threats are up 8,000%. Their families are being doxxed, their children, where they go to school, where their spouses work. It's spiraling out of control.
How is this ICE operation in Minneapolis different than any other city?
Well, part of it is that we don't have the backing of state and local law enforcement. So you see, when you see this violence and obstruction on the ground, those are federal crimes. And yet when our law enforcement calls for backup as they carry out their lawful duties, if they're being assaulted, attacked, or obstructed, those state and local law enforcement officers are not able to come to our backing. They're really sitting ducks left to sit on their own. So we've made about 13,000 arrests this last year in Minnesota. But then you look at Texas, or you look at Florida. In Florida, we've made 40,000 arrests, and yet you don't see riots there. You see peace, you see calm, and you see public safety. And that's what it means when you have the backing of state and local law enforcement.
I didn't see any riots when Obama was president, the ultimate liberal Democrat, Marxist president, and he literally deported millions and millions of illegals. And no one brought up the fact that most of them were not vicious criminals. They were just illegals who were working, and moms and dads. And no one said a word. What's the difference, Tricia?
Well, I think that's because they're putting politics and their own agenda ahead of public safety. I don't understand how anyone could be protesting or rioting or really backing these criminals that we're taking off of the street each and every day. And the fact of the matter is 70% of those illegal aliens that we've removed from this country have either prior criminal conviction or pending criminal charges against them. So it is the lion's share of these individuals who have a criminal history in the United States alone. But Wayne, the important piece is that doesn't even include people who are wanted for crimes in their country of origin or third country. It doesn't include known or suspected terrorists. This is simply 70% is only those who have rap sheets here in the United States or have been caught.
I watched Exhibit A. I saw a video of people accosting an ICE agent as he was trying to go after someone in an apartment building. And he said, "Are you people crazy? We're here to arrest a child rapist." And the people are trying to obstruct him like they like child rapists. If they're illegal aliens, it's okay. This is insanity. They're using the word abducted. Are any of your ICE agents abducting anybody, Tricia?
Oh, of course not. That's another sick smear. They are carrying out the rule of law. And by the way, if people want to peacefully protest, they should feel free to do so. But that's something that would actually be productive to do, is lobby your members of Congress to change the law, because that's exactly what these DHS law enforcement officers are doing. They are enforcing the rule of law that's on the books in Congress. And so to demonize, to vilify, to obstruct is simply playing into the hands of these criminals that we're trying to remove.
We've got a Governor Tim Walz, a Mayor Jacob Frey. How much are they responsible for this incredible, I would call it an insurrection, I would call it treason against the United States of America? Are they the ones that are inciting all of this?
No, absolutely. They've emboldened these violent rioters. We've seen that time and time again. But we're also seeing the reason that we have these riots at all is because we have to have a presence on the ground because, again, they are not allowing state and local law enforcement. They're barring them from working for us, whether it mean giving us backup as we conduct these lawful operations, or whether it's letting us into these jails. That should be so simple, Wayne. This should not be a Republican or Democrat issue. This should be an American issue. This is about public safety. And yet they make it about politics.
It's amazing. I've got 4 kids. I've got 2 daughters and 2 sons. And I just can't understand how anybody cannot see that President Trump and your wonderful agency, Department of Homeland Security, are trying to make the streets of America safe for our sons and our daughters and our mothers and our fathers and grandmothers and grandfathers. You guys are heroes, Tricia. And it's just amazing that anybody would treat you the way they are. Heroes being called Gestapo and Nazis. It just shows how insane the left is. How is this all going to end in Minnesota? President Trump will not give in and pull out, correct?
No, he's not going to. He's not going to bend the knee. I mean, we'll have ICE and CBP officers in Minneapolis forever because we always have had a presence there. As far as the size of that footprint goes, I think time will tell. We're still seeing that there's scores of pedophiles and drug traffickers and violent criminals that we need to get out. We still have targets left to get. There's about 13,000 arrests so far and more coming. But Wayne, I think something that we haven't talked as much about, and we were just 3 weeks ago talking about this a ton, was the rampant fraud that we've seen out of Minneapolis. And that's gone on right under the nose of Tim Walz and Jacob Frey. We have Homeland Security investigators surged there, about 300 of them that are looking and following their leads. And I think that they're finding quite a lot of patterns going on. And we hope to give that information to the American people soon so they can have answers and they can have accountability and justice.
Tom Homan, Kristi Noem, Tricia McLaughlin, and the DHS and Border Security and ICE agents, all of them are heroes in my eyes. And I know all the people watching this show feel the same way. Tricia, we thank you. We appreciate you. We love you for everything you're doing, for putting all your lives on the line, fighting for America. Thank you, and thank God for your presence.
Well, thank God for our law enforcement. Thank you so much, Wayne.
All right. We hope you'll be back again soon. All right. Thank Tricia McLaughlin for coming on the show, Assistant DHS Secretary. And, I wanted to mention my book, Trump Rules, because I wrote this 5 years ago. And I said this is the most relentless human being in the history of mankind. It's about the rules of success of Donald Trump. His number 1 rule is to be relentless. There is no other president that could have ever been relentless in the face of the media and Hollywood and social media and all the people out there calling him Hitler and Gestapo and Nazi. Thank President Trump, man. He is it. He is the toughest hombre ever. He is the most relentless human being ever. Thank you, President Trump, for getting the illegals off our streets in the face of all these crazy people. Up next, great interview with Andrew Eaton, Goldgate Capital. Gold closed Friday, almost 5,000. Silver at $100 an ounce. Unbelievable. Here it comes. All right, Wayne Allen Roots, and I am here with Andrew Eaton, my precious metals specialist from Goldgate Capital. You can contact them anytime at 855-770-GOLD, 855 toll-free, 770-GOLD. Andrew, today we're talking about silver. Silver recently at all-time highs, breaking past $90 an ounce, headed fast for $100. What's going on?
It's just crazy. There's a recent surge in silver demand. We're seeing a really short supply and an even increasing industrial demand on the metal. We're seeing a huge increase in the demand in the AI industry, which is rapidly growing. And right now, the demand is actually outpaced supply for 5 consecutive years, which is a huge reason why prices are increasing at the rate that they are. Huge financial advisors, economists like Peter Schiff are saying that silver could even reach as high as $200 per ounce. They're saying this is because of the short supply and the increasing demand. And even banks have shifted their attention into it. Like JP Morgan Chase, they've moved their short-term silver positions into long-term silver positions, which just shows their confidence in the length of the silver rally. And in my opinion, it's just getting started.
I'm counting on it because, as you know, I've bought a ton of gold and silver from you at Goldgate Capital. So I'm counting on that appreciation from my fans who want to put silver in their IRA, 401k, SEP IRAs. What's the easiest way to do it?
It's very easy. The client just decides how they want to invest, whether it's cash or a retirement plan. If it's cash, it's easy. You just send check or bank wire transfer. Then we select the assets. For IRAs and 401k accounts, it's also very easy. We help you to open up a self-directed IRA for precious metals with an IRS-approved custodian. Then you just decide the amount you want to transfer from your current retirement plan. And then we work with you. We decide the assets you want. We decide where you want to have it stored and insured, and we just move through the process. It's easy as 1, 2, 3.
All right. Andrew, Goldgate Capital's been with me for, I think, about 2.5, 3 years now. We thank you for that. You've been a sponsor of my show. You're fantastic. Your credibility is fantastic. All of my fans say you're fantastic to them. Thank you. You're offering up to $25,000 in free physical silver on qualifying purchases. That meant something 3 years ago today. It's outstanding. Silver over $90 an ounce, free. Up to $25,000 in free silver. Call Goldgate Capital for a free consultation. 855-770-GOLD. That's 855-770-GOLD. 855-770-4653. Goldgate Capital.
It's just like our new house. I hope you have an American Home Shield warranty. Leaky toilet? Fixed. Oven beyond repair? If AHS can't fix your covered item, then replace it, no matter its age. Sign up today at ahs.com.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
When you look at your grocery bill, is it so high it knocks you off your feet? It's time to stand up and save with InstaSeal by Bell & Howell, the world's first vertical vacuum sealing system designed to save you money. Unlike ordinary storage bags that trap air in, spoiling your food, InstaSeal removes the air completely, extending freshness up to 6 times longer. Now that's saving. Look, flat sealers create a big mess, but InstaSeal is upright, mess-free, and easy. The secret is Smart Seal technology. With just one touch, it auto-feeds the bag to seal, pauses to vacuum out the air, then continues to perfectly seal. Plus, InstaSeal has a motor powerful enough to crush cans, but smart enough to save crackers from turning to dust. Forget big, bulky sealers you have to put away. InstaSeal's compact design stays to help you seal and save every day. Got a great deal on chicken, meat, or fish? InstaSeal protects it from freezer burn. Now buy groceries in bulk. Make meals ahead of time. InstaSeal and save. It even works with all universal storage system bags. Buy on sale meats. InstaSeal and save. When you add it all up, InstaSeal will help you seal and save hundreds on your family's grocery bill. Call or go online now and get the complete InstaSeal system that keeps food fresh 6 times longer, with enough storage bags to fill your entire fridge for the special TV discount price of just $99.99. It comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free. You get it all, an incredible value for one low price. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-308-6802 or go to buyinstaseal.com. So call 1-800-308-6802 or order online at buyinstaseal.com.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
All right, Wayne Allen Root, Final Four time. This is the segment you wait for every week, the Final Four. And we will start with number 4. All right, remember my prediction that the Trump economy would be rip-roaring, booming? In 2026, it would be like Reagan all over again. It would be the greatest economy of my lifetime. Well, it's here. Just a few headlines. First of all, I told you last week that the Atlanta Fed, which does all the predicting of each quarter's GDP, gross domestic product, the only measurement of economic growth that exists, and the Atlanta Fed predicted that the growth in economic growth in quarter 4 would be 5.4%. I reported that last week. The number is stunning. We haven't seen a number like that since Reagan years. It's been decades. Trump is doing it, and that's the last quarter of last year. Now they come back and they revise the third quarter of last year, 2025, up from 4.3%, which was rip-roaring fantastic, to 4.4%. So if things work out well, it's 4.4 in the third quarter and 5+ in the fourth quarter, and now we've got the whole 2026. Also, jobless claims come in, and they hover at the lowest level in 56 years, since 1969. And then Trump goes to Davos, Switzerland, and he gives a lecture to all the liberals of the world, and all the data and economic claims he makes have been confirmed. And I want to just go through a few of them. First of all, Trump says inflation is completely tamed. It may be 2.6% for the year, but for just the last 3 months, the average inflation figure is 1.6%. Unbelievable. That's with tariffs. Fourth quarter growth, 5.4% projection. Stock market all-time highs set this year. He added $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts and savings accounts. $9 trillion. 1.2 million people lifted off food stamps in the last year. Trump secured commitments from 18 to $20 trillion to invest in the U.S. economy. He removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from federal payrolls, largest single-year cut since World War II. He cut federal spending by $100 billion. He cut 129 regulations for every one regulation. He passed the largest tax cut in American history. He slashed monthly trade deficit in 1 year by 77%. American exports up by $150 billion. Domestic steel production up by 300,000 tons per month. Factory construction up by 41%. Steel plants being built all over the country, and more car plants being built than at any time in modern history. Fantastic news. All right, countdown number 3. Well, more fantastic news. Again, thanks to President Trump. It's official. He signed an executive order when he came into office right away that we would withdraw as a country from the World Health Organization, the WHO, that brought us masks and lockdowns and faulty COVID vaccines and 1,000 other problems. Businesses closed, churches closed. Why are we listening to unelected bureaucrats from outside the United States? That was his executive order a year ago. After 77 years, this week we officially withdrew, the United States withdrew from the globalist World Health Organization and reclaimed our national sovereignty from unelected bureaucrats. Countdown number 2. A bit of great news for the COVID vaccine disaster story takes center stage in my top 10 again. The Texas Attorney General, my friend, great guy, Ken Paxton, has announced he's starting an investigation into vaccine-related financial incentives for pediatricians. They got paid, most of them hundreds of thousands, many of them millions of dollars in bonuses, by literally demanding and forcing and cajoling relentlessly that you have got to give your kids the COVID vaccine when not one kid in America ever needed the COVID vaccine. Doctors making millions off of pushing vaccines on you on behalf of Big Pharma. It's a massive conflict of interest. Great move, Ken Paxton. And now, countdown number 1. All right, you wait for it all week. It's time for my number 1 story. It's titled, President Trump, there is a better way to empower ICE. Here are some creative ideas guaranteed to succeed and make liberal heads explode. All right, so look, my belief is going into blue cities is not a great idea. It's a public relations disaster waiting to happen. The left is waiting with anticipation for more of their human shields to die at the hands of ICE. In other words, they send people out there on purpose so they'll be injured or beaten or die at the hands of law enforcement or ICE, and they can show it to the nation, turn everybody against Trump, against the GOP, and against mass deportation. We are just a few liberal paid protesters getting killed away from losing the PR battle for good. And have you added up how much money we're spending right now per illegal we arrest and deport? The numbers are insanely high, the dollars, to capture just a few hundred or maybe 1,000 in each city against the backdrop of anarchy. And it's all going way too slow. We have somewhere around 50 million illegals in America. At this rate, we may get rid of 8 to 10 million by the time President Trump's second term is up, which is great. Thank you, President Trump. No one else would have done it, only Trump. But it's not enough. The 40 million left inside America will settle in and keep voting, and we'll soon have children and grandchildren here forever, and they'll be voting. So I have a variety of creative ideas to help President Trump and MAGA win this war, to secure the border, deport the bad guys, and make America great again. And the big bonus is all of my ideas will drive liberals insane. Their heads are guaranteed to explode. Idea number one, change the name of ICE to National Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is what they are, a national agency that works in all 50 states, which means their new brand goes from ICE to NICE. Nice. Can you picture all these thousands of agents going into cities looking to arrest illegals with NICE emblems on their uniforms and their SUVs? Picture the loony radical left's faces when they see NICE is coming. It's a PR dream. We're now the good guys with positive branding. We're the nice guys. We're here to make your neighborhoods nice again. And the radical left, they don't like nice guys. Like it or not, everything in life is about image, branding, and PR. You can't find a more positive change in imagery from mean ICE to happy nice. Idea number two, the protesters are paid. Sign an executive order, President Trump, banning organizations that provide paid protesters. Hiring paid protesters is a combination of un-American, fraud, and acting. I've been to so many protests and rallies in my life. Tea Party, pro-Trump MAGA rallies, Trump car parades, pro-police rallies. I've set them all up in Las Vegas. They've been my rallies. I've never been paid a dime to attend. If I do, I attend of my own free will. That's called free speech, and that's what America's about. But if you're paid to protest, it's fake speech. You're a paid actor. Ban any company from providing fake paid actors. Idea number three, it's time to treat these radical anti-American communist paid protesters harshly. No more kid gloves treatment. If they want to protest in the winter in Minneapolis or Chicago or Detroit, then bring out the water cannons and spray them with freezing water. That should send a strong message in 10-degree weather or negative 10-degree weather. Good luck finding protesters, even paid ones, next time out after the word gets out that you're going to wind up like a popsicle in the dead of winter. Idea number four, don't just hit them with water cannons. Dye the water red. For communist red, with dye that won't fade for days. Now it's easy to round them up and arrest them. NICE agents, remember, we're not ICE agents anymore, we're NICE agents, and the police can find them for blocks around the protest site, for miles. They're red. They're the ones dyed bright communist red. And let's throw in one more deterrent, add in skunk smell with the water. Trust me, all of this will cut down dramatically on protests. Who wants to freeze like a popsicle, be dyed bright red, and smell like a skunk? Raise your hand. Anyone? I didn't think so. Idea number five. Once you arrest protesters, do not place them in local jails. The liberal sympathizers running these cities, politicians, judges, police chiefs, will let them go free within hours. No more. Anyone arrested at these violent protests should be bused or flown to faraway federal prisons, or let's build big detention centers. So instead of being sent to a jail a few miles from your home, you'll find yourself in a federal prison or detention center 3,000 miles from home. Try this for a while and see how many liberals will show up for protests, even if they're being paid. No amount of money is worth waking up in your own bed in Minneapolis and a few hours later, find yourself in a cold concrete prison cell in Maine. Idea number six, the grand finale. I wrote this 90 days ago. I read this commentary on this show. It needs to be stated again loudly. Stop sending ICE, or hopefully we'll call them NICE soon, into areas where violent and angry protesters and rioters block the streets, and the politicians won't cooperate. It is wasting time and money and nice agents. We have limited resources. Why waste it on cities that don't want us, that actively fight us? Mr. President, please announce a moratorium for 1 year. You will only send nice into red cities and red states that welcome this federal force and agree to cooperate and agree to provide local police to defend the nice agents from any protesters. They won't do that in Minnesota, but they'll do it in a red city with a red mayor and a red governor. Why go where we're not welcome and face angry rioters and risk agents getting injured or killed and risk the bad PR of liberal protesters or rioters being killed? It makes no sense. Not when the radical left politicians are urging their citizens to fight agents in the streets. Not when those same politicians are giving advance warning to illegals that our agents are coming. So they know we're coming and they're not even on the street waiting for us. So you got to go into red cities where no one will give an advance warning. There's a better use of resources. Use NICE, formerly known as ICE, to clean out red cities and red states with the cooperation of red governors, red mayors, red police chiefs. Make red cities and states a model for how great America can be without illegals. Without illegals, red cities and towns will be safe and clean with low taxes, the way America used to be. Meanwhile, illegals by the millions will run to blue cities where they are protected. No more illegals in red cities. They'll be gone. Blue cities will be overrun. They will suffer exploding crime, homelessness everywhere, drug markets on every corner, and they will all quickly drown under a sea of spending and debt. When the 1 year moratorium is up, send NICE into the blue cities to arrest the illegals. They'll be easy to find. They're all in one place. It will be like deporting fish in a barrel. Won't that be nice? Mr. President, I hope you can use some or all of my creative ideas to make America great again. P.S. Let's all have a nice day. Not an ice day, a nice day. You're all going through an ice day. I know how cold it is in most of the country. Have a nice day. That's it for this show. I'm Wayne Alaroot. This is America's Top 10 Countdown every Saturday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and then it reruns throughout the weekend. God bless you. God bless Trump. God bless America. And as I always say, God bless and viva my tax-free Las Vegas. See you next week.
Where is Wayne Allen Root? Where the hell is he?
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
Guys, if you plan to retire in the next 20 years, or if you've already retired, I have a message for you that you need to hear. Central banks, BRIC nations, and our allies are pumping trillions of dollars back into America, but every dollar they send could make your savings worth less. Hi. I'm Donald Trump Jr., and I just want you to be prepared for the future. So protect your hard-earned savings with gold. A gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group offers you the safety net of gold with the tax advantage status of a retirement account. To see how it's done, click the link below to get a free info kit on gold IRAs. This kit reveals why gold IRAs are exploding in popularity, so do it now. What do you have to lose? It's free and there's no obligation. Click the link below to get your free info kit from the Birch Gold Group.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul. For 50 years, I've watched Washington betray the American people with dishonest money. Nixon's closure of the gold window made endless debt and war inevitable. Today, our middle class, our currency, and our economy are dying in real time. In my new book, Dispatches to Future Generations, I reveal how we got here, plus the solution, gold. And that's why I'm partnering with Birch Gold Group to give you a free copy of my book along with their free info kit on gold. Click below to get both right now. Inside the info kit, you'll learn how to move your IRA or 401k into physical gold. So click below to claim your free copy of my Dispatches to Future Generations and Birch Gold's info kit today.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
Jeff Cruer analyzes and debates the critical issues facing our nation in ringside politics. Jump in the ring with Jeff Cruer as he squares off against the liberal media in ringside politics. His blow-by-blow analysis will keep you up to speed with what's happening in our nation and around the world. This is Politics with a Punch. Ringside Politics with Jeff Cruer starts now.
Good day, everyone. Jeff Cruer here. Welcome to Ringside Politics on Real America's Voice. We're going to be jam-packed today on the program. Heavy coverage of what is currently going on in Minneapolis. We've got all kinds of focus we're going to be giving on that in the program today. Got some great guests going to be joining us to discuss that and other topics, including the possibility of U.S. intervention in Iran. But let's get started with thanking all of our friends joining us on Pluto TV Channel 240, Dish Network Channel 219, the Roku Channel, Roku, Vizio, all the platforms associated with the Real America's Voice app, americasvoice.news, Samsung TV Plus, Channel 1175, Freecast, Channel 106, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, and our friends online on Getter and True Social. Welcome aboard. You know, after the 2020 election was stolen, folks, we got busy here on Ringside creating our own program that has been growing ever since. It's called Project Keep the Republic, and it's very unique. It was modeled after what Benjamin Franklin said at the end of the Constitutional Convention when he was asked, "What kind of government have you given us?" He replied, "Madam, a republic. But here are the key words: if you can keep it." Now, what does it take to keep a republic? Real tangible action, adopting the warrior ethos, placing the mission first, never accepting defeat. Folks, we're never quitting. Organizing groups across the country based on the days of the week. We have Morning Prayers Monday, Release the Kraken Tuesday, Sheepdog Wednesday, Tech Tribe Thursday, and our favorite, Fraud Busters Friday. So you can start small, folks. 2 or more people. Gather your friends from gather your group together from friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, or classmates. And as you get bigger, send me your photos and videos to my email address, which is Jeff, Jeff, at WGSO.com. We'll share them with our friends, include a short description of your group and the action depicted. Now, if you want a copy of the program, we have slides to share with you, or the detailed Sheepdog organizational plan, just email me at jeff at WGSO.com, or better yet, just go onto my website, cruair.net, CROUERE.net. Download them from there. Also on cruair.net, we've got our petition for the immediate resignation of Rhino Senator Bill Cassidy, who's trying to run for re-election. This guy's a disgrace. Note and video that I think you'll enjoy, and photos with President Trump. My latest video is about something we're talking about today, and that's what is going on in Minneapolis. And the video is entitled, "ICE Agents Need to Be Able to Do Their Jobs." Check it out right there at cruair.net and share it with your friends. Also, information about my first book, America's Last Chance. Wrapping up the second one. Hopefully we'll have that out well before the midterm elections. Also on cruair.net, we've got my midterm election countdown clock, the most important midterm in the history of our country. You can subscribe to our new podcast, ranked number 2 in Louisiana, On the Air with Jeff Cruer. You can also sign up for our free Ringside Politics newsletter, which keeps you updated on what we're doing. And I'd love for you to take our poll. We just posted it. Here's the question. Iran is facing the biggest protests in the 47-year history of that Islamic regime. What should the U.S. response be? We've got options on there for you to examine. Give me your thoughts, anywhere from nothing to military invasion, and all kinds of options in between. So check out crewair.net. Cast your vote. Let me know what you think we should do with Iran. We've got a guest coming up who's going to be talking about that issue a little bit later on. You can contact me there on the site. You can also email me at jeff@wgso.com. You can also contact me on social media. We're on Gab, Getter, True Social, and X at Jeff Cruaire. And we're also on Facebook at Ringside Politics. All right. Every time we gather, we share our favorite pro-Trump image of the week. And this one is from Robert in Virginia. And this is very good. Shows what these European leaders are doing and the direction they're going. And, of course, where President Trump is trying to lead them. But these people are insistent on going in the wrong path. So thank you, Robert, in the great state of Virginia. Every time we gather, we give out a shout out to our Ringside Politics Champion of the Week. This week, it's a group that is trying to preserve history, a group that is preserving monuments, saving monuments, cleaning monuments all throughout the Gulf South. It's a Monumental Task Committee, monumentaltask.org, all volunteer, no government help. They do it on their own because these blue states and these blue cities won't do it. So kudos to them. You know, with the economy the way it is, boy, I still recommend diversifying. That's why I recommend Birch Gold. There are a lot of things out of our control, out of our president's control. We need a safe haven for our savings. That's why Birch Gold is my recommendation. Help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. The best news, it doesn't cost you a penny. How about that? That's awesome. So all you got to do is text America to 989898, and they'll send you a free info kit for you to get started. Don't forget, folks, protect your savings today with Birch Gold. Text America to 989898 and get your free info kit today. All right, some of the hot topics that we're following on this program today, of course, what's going on in Minneapolis. We've got a live shot of what is happening there. These protests have been accelerating. An individual was shot earlier this morning at about 9 o'clock Central Time. He approached ICE agents with a weapon and 2 magazines, according to Department of Homeland Security officials. They got into a struggle, and he was shot and killed. After that incident, protesters started gathering, screaming at ICE agents, yelling at them, throwing things at them. The agents have deployed tear gas to disperse the crowd. More protesters are arriving. This happens just, 2+ weeks after the shooting of Renee Good, another individual who was doing what she shouldn't have been doing with ICE agents. So this is a very problematic situation going on in Minnesota. Here is the incident of what happened with the gentleman that we're showing you right now, this 51-year-old person who was shot and killed because he came at ICE agents with a weapon. And they have distributed photos of the weapon, the handgun that he had with him. And, you don't approach agents in a confrontational, violent manner. You don't approach agents with a firearm and try to utilize that firearm. I mean, something is going to happen to you like what happened to this person. Now, of course, the protesters all see this as a way to attack ICE. And they consider, ICE the enemy. Well, what ICE is trying to do is, of course, implement what you and I, the American people, voted for in November 2024. President Trump, when he ran for office, all the way starting in 2016 and 2020 and 2024, one of his biggest issues was controlling immigration, securing the border. ICE is implementing the will of the people. ICE is implementing what we voted for. So this is the will of the American people that these protesters, that these Democrats are trying to thwart. And these incidents wouldn't be happening if these protesters would be abiding by what these ICE agents are telling them to do. They are just trying to follow the law. The American people wanted folks that are here illegally to be deported. That's what these ICE agents are trying to do. Some of these folks, about 70% of them, have a criminal past. many of them very violent. So you're here illegally, that's a crime. Then you have other crimes that you're committing. Some of these folks are pedophiles, some are murderers, some have been involved in rape and human trafficking. And that's what ICE is trying to do, remove these people from neighborhoods. There should be celebrations all over our country, from people welcoming ICE, thanking ICE for what they're doing, thanking President Trump, cleaning up cities, cleaning up neighborhoods. But instead, what do the Democrats do? They embrace people like Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a guy who was a gang member, spousal abuser, human trafficker, trying to make sure that he stays in our country. They're applauding the actions of Renee Good when she was impeding an ICE investigation operation. And I'm sure they're going to applaud this 51-year-old person who had a weapon on him and could have killed ICE agents. So the left celebrates criminals, celebrates those who are here illegally, goes after people that are putting their lives on the line every day. These ICE agents, these family members of ICE agents, my heart goes out to them. My prayers are with them. They're being doxxed. They're being targeted. Some of them are in hiding. And they're trying to harass them at hotels that they stay in. These protesters, many of them are lunatics and are criminals themselves. So I'm calling on President Trump. I've been calling on President Trump to invoke something called the Insurrection Act, which will allow him to deploy federal troops there to bring a handle on what is going on in that city and to try to bring some law and order to Minneapolis. Because here's the problem, folks. The governor is making things worse. The mayor is making things worse. He's the guy who said, get the F out of the city. The mayor. That is irresponsible. That is, in my opinion, disgusting. These people are making things much, much worse in their city, in their state. They're trying to evade responsibility for the fraud that was involved in their state, the Somalia fraud that Nick Shirley and others uncovered, trying to divert attention to ICE and lead protests against it because they don't want to pay the political price and maybe criminal charges for what happened with all this waste, fraud, and abuse involving the Somali population in the state of Minnesota. So now they're latching onto this, using it as a campaign to demonize ICE and the Trump administration. So I think the president needs to look at options such as trying to bring law and order to the great state of Minnesota by deploying federal troops. And that can be done by invoking the Insurrection Act. The last time it was done was in 1992 by President George H.W. Bush after riots in Los Angeles. The Rodney King riots, if you remember those. All right, a lot to get to as we roll on. We got some great guests who are going to be checking in with us right here on Ringside on Real America's Voice. Jeff Cruer with you. We'll be right back.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, ride your bike.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, smile big and bright.
Thousands of kids just like me are happy every day.
And it's all because of generous people like you who support Shriners Hospitals for Children every month.
All you have to do is call the number on your screen or go online to loveshriners.org right now with your monthly gift.
Because of people like you, Shriners Hospitals for Children is able to make an everyday miracle happen for kids like me.
If you're happy and you know it, dance around. If you're happy and you know it, play a song.
If you're happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it.
If you're happy and you know it, take your shot.
And when you call or go online right now to donate $19 a month or more, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a thank you and a reminder of all the smiles you're bringing to kids' faces every day.
Will today be the day you send your love to the rescue?
When you call the number on your screen right now and give as little as $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you'll be making a life-changing difference for a child, just like Sarah.
Your monthly gift today could change your life forever.
Because of you.
We are happy and we know it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please call or go online right now to give. If operators are busy, please wait patiently or go to loveshriners.org right away.
First one?
Yeah. You?
Third.
Got any advice?
Get great life insurance for you and Mom. So if something happens, your family's protected.
I know nothing about life insurance.
You don't have to. Just call Select Quote. They do the work and shop hundreds of policies tailored to your budget.
Know anything about diapers?
Change them. Often.
Protect your family's future by visiting SelectQuote.com for your free quote now with a licensed insurance agent.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shopped. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
All right, we're back, folks. And, of course, we're covering so many different issues here today, but focusing primarily on what is going on in Minneapolis. Just to recap, several weeks after what happened in Minneapolis, the shooting involving Renee Good and the 37-year-old died as a result. You had massive protests after that. And today, this morning, an individual was shot and killed by ICE agents. He had a weapon with 2 magazines. The agents felt obviously threatened by the situation. And the person has been killed. Don't have a name of the 51-year-old man, but it has led to protests. Tear gas has been deployed. We've had an unlawful assembly called. So the ICE agents on the ground trying to restore order there. And obviously it's a chaotic situation made worse by local leaders that are encouraging protesters. And the fact that you have a lot of the police and National Guard that really have been ordered to stand down and not really help arrest some of these individuals that are committing crimes and attacking ICE agents. Well, let's bring on our first guest and gentleman who is very familiar to our viewers here in the Ringside Politics program. He's a legal analyst, author, and former assistant U.S. attorney. He wrote a great book called Postgate, very knowledgeable, involved in the whole Watergate scandal that led to the downfall, of course, of President Richard Nixon. Let's say hello to our friend John O'Connor, who's joining us here in the program today. And John, how are you, sir? Welcome. Hey, John, are you with us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
There you are. How are you, sir? All right. Let's go back to John, if we could, in a little bit, try to get that connection worked out. And we want to hear from John on a variety of issues. And he can also give us some of his legal expertise on what is going on in Minnesota. So we've got another guest that we can bring on now. Now, you heard my Ringside Politics web poll question, where I'm asking, what should we do in Iran? I mean, the options are all the way from nothing to supporting the CIA for a regime change, supporting Israel, humanitarian aid for the protesters, military aid for the protesters, or U.S. military involvement. Well, someone that knows a lot about it. She's a former Iranian political prisoner. She's a board member for the U.S. Foundation for Liberty and Human Rights. Hamira Hassami is with us. And Hamira, how are you? Welcome.
I'm fine. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us, and my heart goes out to all the Iranian people dealing with this brutal regime. You suffered tremendously, a political prisoner. You want to tell us about that experience and what you had to endure?
I was in solitary confinement for over a month and spent a few months in prison for just my activism, not against the regime. You know, I was just reading and researching women's rights. But the regime, when it's on verge of collapse, it thinks that every single organization is against it. So it put us in prison. And in prison, I realized that the only way to deal with this regime is to join resistance and support the main Iranian opposition, the MEK. So that was an experience that made me very passionate about the cause and the goals that the MEK is following to overthrow the regime.
So this regime has been in place since the downfall of the Shah. So we're looking at 47 years, incredibly, Amira. And what percentage of the people in Iran support the radical Islamic regime, the Ayatollah? What percentage of people actually subscribe to that kind of Islamic theocracy?
This regime wasn't legitimate from the beginning, because when people overthrew the Shah's dictatorship, they wanted freedom and democracy. But Khomeini came and kind of hijacked the revolution and did not provide what people revolted for, freedom. So from the beginning, people, students especially, they resisted and they protested this regime and they wanted their rights. And that's why from the beginning we have a lot of overcrowded prisons, and many people were executed in 1981. That was the beginning of a bloody era,
right,
with the people and the regime. So many people were executed. A lot of political prisoners end up in 1988 massacre, which were 30,000 political prisoners, mostly affiliated with the main Iranian opposition group, the MEK, were hanged in a matter of 2 or 3 months. So the people from the beginning did not want this regime. So it's not something new. But somehow, because of, I guess I would say, the failed policy of the Western countries, that they try to appease the regime. They try to somehow work with reformers inside the country. So it didn't work. But people, if you want to give me a percentage, if I want to know a percentage, it's very, very low. It's less than 5% or so.
So 95% want change. They want freedom. They want this regime to be overthrown. Now, remember, I'm sure you were supportive of the 2009, the Green Movement there, where you had an uprising, but that was brutally repressed. They didn't seem to get much support from the outside countries. This is happening now, maybe even bigger than what you had in 2009. And you do have a president that is lending his moral support. And he could be lending military support soon, because this was a president that knocked out their nuclear facilities just a few months ago. So if you were advising President Trump, what would you advise him to do with the situation in Iran right now?
I would say that what we see right now is a culmination of decades of organized resistance against the regime. So what we saw recently wasn't spontaneous. As you mentioned, there were 2009 uprising that started with where is my vote? It was like a political demand. And then we had multiple rounds of uprisings in the recent years. So I would say that there is an organized resistance inside Iran, which is led by the MEK affiliated resistance units. And Iranian people want change, and they want the whole regime to go. They don't want to work with one faction of it or the other faction.
So what should President Trump, what should the U.S. role be to try to accelerate the movement toward change and reform and getting rid of this horrible regime, which is the #1 funder of terrorism around the world. So they're not only killing their own people, they're killing innocent people all over the world because they support terrorism. So what should our role be? I've got a poll question right now at my website, crewair.net, asking that very question. You're the expert. So what would you say?
I would welcome, fairness against the regime, and that's what we have been asking for decades. We have to put sanctions on the regime. We have to hold the regime accountable for the massacre, for the atrocities that it's doing against the people, for the crimes against humanity. The regime has committed crimes against humanity. It's not the first time.
Right.
So we have to hold the regime. We have to close all the loopholes. We have to cut the financial help that the regime is getting. We have to, cut down the oil revenue that the regime is gaining. So we have a lot of things that
Should there be any military involvement at all, in your view?
I would believe the Iranian resistance and inside, there is a very well-organized opposition. And they are capable of changing the regime. We have to recognize, that's very important thing. We have to recognize the right of the Iranian people to overthrow. As you may know, there is a resolution in the Congress exactly asking for that. So if the administration can implement the recommendation that this policy is given, that would be great. So it's called HRS.
So you're talking about sanctions, supporting the regime by supporting the protesters by putting sanctions on the regime, cutting off their revenue, and encouraging the protesters within inside that country to succeed in overthrowing it without getting any military involvement. Okay. So my final question, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the National Council of Resistance of Iran does have a very clear platform. And this entity is led by a woman, Maryam Rajavi. So it has a clear platform for overthrowing the regime and what comes after that one. So we need
now,
to
what about the Shah's son? He has been mentioned as a possible successor. A lot of people are supportive of the monarchy. Others are not. What say you, Homira?
I do not think anybody in Iran is supporting monarchy. The people of Iran rejected monarchy in 1979. It'll be absurd and, very ridiculous to ask people to choose one person as monarch. The Iranian people want freedom and democracy, and monarchy is in
and that's what we want.
Contradiction with
That's what we
democracy.
want for the people of Iran, freedom and democracy. And we hope and pray that that's going to happen soon. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your work and in opposing this dictatorial, terroristic regime in Iran that hopefully is seeing its last days. All right, quick time out. More Ringside Politics coming your way. We've got scenes now of what is going on in Minneapolis. So we're following the uprising there, these protests that have been occurring since the shooting earlier this morning of a 51-year-old who was armed. And in a confrontation with ICE agents, he wound up being shot dead. But he did have a weapon, 2 magazines with him. And this is an ongoing situation. We're covering it throughout the program. Let's take care of some business. Quick time out. We'll be right back.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free, comes a brand new song from singer-songwriter Natasha Owens, The Somali Waltz. Let's make the music industry mad and run this to #1. Scan the QR code or search The Somali Waltz on iTunes and buy it right now. The Somali Waltz, available everywhere.
Do you have an ugly, outdated, maybe even unsafe bath or shower? You could remodel it the hard way. Or you could do it the easy way by calling Jacuzzi and get the beautiful bathroom of your dreams installed in just one day. That's right. It doesn't take weeks or months, just one day, and you won't need to break anything, not even the bank.
Right now, we're waiving all installation costs, plus offering zero interest with zero payments for up to a year. Jacuzzi is the trusted name in bath remodeling. We've been making water feel great for over 70 years, and we can bring you the bath or shower of your dreams in just one day.
Jacuzzi is a full-service company. There's no contractor that could pull that off.
Jacuzzi Bath Remodel makes it simple. Our local design consultants come right to you with exclusive, genuine jacuzzi features and designs to help you create the custom bathroom of your dreams. That's easy to clean and even easier to love. And everything we install is backed with superior craftsmanship and the peace of mind of a lifetime warranty.
The warranty gave me a big peace of mind. You want to have something that they're going to stand behind, and they do. My overall experience with Jacuzzi has been wonderful. Everything was customized to the way I wanted it for the price that I wanted to pay.
The Jacuzzi bath remodel team went above and beyond.
It is amazing.
Now you can experience the Jacuzzi bath remodel difference affordably through this exciting limited time offer. Right now, we're waiving the installation costs, all with zero down and no interest or payments for up to a year. Call or go online right away and see for yourself just how affordable it can be to choose all the safety, style, and features you need with the quality and trust that only Jacuzzi can deliver, backed by an unbeatable lifetime warranty. This is a limited time offer, so don't wait to schedule your free design consultation today. Call now.
Let us convert your old, outdated bath into a stunning, easy entry shower with features like grab bars and a custom seat, so you can enjoy enhanced safety in style. And best of all, you can have it all installed in just one day.
It was one day. It's like, how do you do that? How can you take out a whole bathroom tub and shower and install a new one in one day? Jacuzzi quality.
You deserve the luxury of a customized space that makes you feel great. So choose the smart way and call Jacuzzi Bath Remodel today.
Don't wait. Call or go online now to jacuzzibathremodel.com. Right now, we're waiving the installation costs, all with zero down and no interest or payments for up to a year. See for yourself just how affordable it can be to choose all the safety, style, and features you need directly from Jacuzzi, the most trusted name in water. Let us make your dream bath a reality in just one day. This is a limited time offer, so don't wait. Call today to take advantage of this incredible opportunity.
Call 800-384-7949. That's 800-384-7949. Call now.
Welcome back. Of course, covering what's going on in Minneapolis today, and wanted to share with you some of the comments that the mayor of Minneapolis had to say. He's the guy, of course, who said to get the F out of Minneapolis to ICE. He's been acting, in my view, in an atrocious manner, not as a leader, someone who has really poured gasoline on this fire. And he also was a horrible leader during the George Floyd riots back in 2020. And, of course, the city burned down. Much of it hasn't even been repaired, replaced, restored since then. So let's check out some of what Mayor Jacob Frey had to say this morning. Let's check it out.
Just saw a video of more than 6 masked agents pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. How many more residents, how many more Americans need to die or get badly hurt for this operation to end? How many more lives need to be lost before this administration realizes that a political and partisan narrative is not as important as American values?
Let's bring on our guest who can give us some insight into what's going on. He's a legal analyst, author, former assistant U.S. attorney. John O'Connor is with us. And John, how are you?
Jeff.
Good to have you on the program, sir. Thanks for being with us.
Interesting times.
Yeah. So, John, let's talk a little bit about what's going on there. Of course, you have ICE agents that are being attacked by protesters. They are trying to implement U.S. law. They're trying to arrest people that are here illegally. They're following through on the will of the American people. We voted for this by electing President Trump, yet these protesters are trying to stop it. The local and state authorities aren't helping. They're encouraging the protesters. So it is a very, very difficult situation for these ICE agents to be in. What's your analysis, John?
As Mayor Fry said, a political narrative, partisan political narrative, is not as important as American values. But who is it that's trying to put a partisan political narrative on this simple situation of enforcing our laws? It's the leftists who are coming in, first of all, before this, to have sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. And then, secondly, when this, which makes it a case that you do not have detainers, so you can't use the process of allowing local law enforcement to help bring you and cooperate with you and bring you lawbreakers. You have to do it yourself through your federal agents, and you don't have local backup because the police do not help you help the ICE agents. So therefore, you need more ICE agents. And so therefore, you have a situation in which ICE has to come into places like Minneapolis. And then, of course, there's the protests that are putting fuel on this fire. This whole thing is caused by this really juvenile leftist deal that if you are enforcing the immigration laws, there's something terrible about you. So it's too bad that this is happening. But on the other hand, we've got a situation in which should law enforcement be merely because there are protests like this, should they therefore turn tail and run? It's not a good sign. It's not a good activity if you reward this activity.
And we're going to have on a former police sergeant to give us some more insight in a few minutes. But I want to ask you about the question a lot of people have been wondering, John. Should the president invoke what's called the Insurrection Act? And you correct me if I'm wrong, which would give him the authority to send in federal troops to restore order. Last time it was used was in 1992 by President George H.W. Bush to restore order after the Rodney King riots there, and has been used many times in the past by different presidents. Eisenhower, Kennedy, certainly Lyndon Johnson utilized it a number of times. Even Ronald Reagan utilized it once. Is that, you think, a wise course of action or not, John?
A legal course of action. There's no doubt about it that you can use the Insurrection Act when local law enforcement is not adequate to keep law and order. There's no doubt about that. That's one of the reasons you call in the federal militia. Now, is it a wise thing to do is another matter. I think in a way, right now, and I think President Trump is wise not to take the bait right now and let this thing play out and hopefully dissipate. But it's legal. I'm not so sure it's wise because I think that's what these other folks would like. They'd like to see the National Guard in so they can claim, oh, it's more Gestapo tactics. This is Hitler again. Right. So that's my only hesitation here. At the same time, I don't think that I should turn tail and run. I think it's a good idea to let this thing play out like a fish on a hook. Let them swim for a while. They can't protest every day. It's costing somebody a lot of money to finance these protesters. Some of them are working for free, of course, but many are not.
And John, let me ask you this. Is there anything that these ICE agents are doing that is illegal in any way? Do these protesters have any basis for their radical response to what ICE is doing?
Oh, and as a matter of fact, I think the ICE agents are very restrained. I can tell you this. In a regular law enforcement basis, you don't come up. If I came up and started throwing things at a police officer, even in the very cool lefty town of San Francisco, I think I'd find myself in jail, wouldn't I? I'd find myself thrown in a paddy wagon very forcefully. And so the ICE agents are being very restrained, and I don't think that they're acting wrongly. Anytime there's a situation like this, they can use reasonable force. And if confronted by deadly force, of course, they can respond with deadly force. Not only can, they should respond with deadly force. So when there's a shooting, the question is there a reasonable apprehension that the agent's life is in danger? Or, for that matter, is deadly force necessary to prevent serious harm to other people? So that's really the issue in all these things, is the reasonable belief of the officer. So I see nothing. Well, there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. And as a matter of fact, they're being very restrained. This whole thing is being set up by these protesters. And that's what's terrible about our country right now, Jeff.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that happened in the summer of 2020 when you had outside groups funding these protesters and burning down cities. And, you know, in that case, the president was very restrained as well, didn't invoke the Insurrection Act. And many people thought he should have back then. He's taken your advice so far, hasn't. We'll see if that continues. Hopefully this can dissipate. John, as always, we appreciate you. Thanks so much for joining us. We're now going to get another perspective, someone who is founder and CEO of 9/11 at Ease International. He's also a retired Santa Barbara, California police sergeant. Mike McGrew is with us here on the Ringside Politics program. Hey, Mike, how are you? Welcome.
Good. Thank you for having me here.
Mike, you see what's going on in Minneapolis that we're covering today. Law enforcement there seems to be in a no-win situation. The leadership there doesn't want them involved. These ICE agents are being attacked. How do you think the local police are handling it, Mike?
Well, I think it comes down to what you said about leadership. Having been involved, I was involved in the Rodney King riots back in the 90s, and I saw how leadership ended up agitating that situation and creating chaos in all the greater Los Angeles area. And we weren't prepared for that because the leadership didn't want us to be prepared for that. And now you look at this situation here, and you've seen the different shootings, and you've seen people come to conclusions that somebody was murdered. You know, very hard words when they don't know all the facts, they don't know what's happening in the case. Also, you know, conversely, on the other side, you know, people need to be careful about saying that a shooting was a good shoot before the investigation's done. So, you know, these are things that you have to take seriously. It takes time to investigate them, and then you move forward so that you do get the public trust. But with Minneapolis, you know, I've seen, you know, back when after the death of George Floyd, I was there. I saw how 4 square blocks of the city was taken over and the police did not go in. I saw how a police precinct was burnt down, and you know, there just wasn't a lot of support from their leadership of that.
Well,
police.
and it reminds me of the mayor of Baltimore back during the Freddie Gray riots, who said that they wanted to give the protesters, quote, space to destroy. And then, of course, you know, they had burnings in Baltimore. You had it in Ferguson. You had it after Trayvon Martin. You had it after George Floyd. Now we're going to see it here expanding, and police are sort of caught in these situations where you have progressive mayors. They want to, you know, protect their city, telling them one thing. You have these protesters that are going crazy and attacking property and people, and in this case, are going after ICE agents. You know, I remember back in the George Floyd riots, Minneapolis lost a lot of police officers. Remember, there was a defund the police movement. Kamala Harris was raising money for the people that were put in jail for that. And I don't think, Mike, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, police departments across the country ever recovered from that. I know in my city of New Orleans, we're 500 officers short of where we should be. I know in Minneapolis, they're hundreds of officers short of where they should be. So this is a very tough situation for law enforcement, isn't it?
Absolutely. Minneapolis lost a third of its department, and they never recovered. And what happens when that occurs is that the job becomes even that much more dangerous. for the officers who are enforcing the law because they don't have backup. It becomes more dangerous for the community because you don't have the proper resources doing the police work out there. And so it's been a very difficult time since 2020 to recruit. When there's a negative, just a broad brush that tries to paint all police officers as bad or that it's not a noble profession. For 31 years, I worked with people of amazing courage, character, restraint, compassion. Those were the people that I worked with.
Yes.
And you see tens of thousands of those acts happen every single day throughout this country. You may not see it on the media. You may see one or two controversial things happen, but people need to know that the folks who are serving, they do it. They're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they have servants first and they really care about their community.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at these ICE agents. I mean, they're literally putting their lives on the line. They're being doxxed. They're being attacked. I mean, their families are being put in danger. And they're doing this to uphold the law and follow through on the wishes of the American people that voted for these deportations in the last election. And for that, they're being, called every name in the book. And they're really in jeopardy themselves. So this is another tragic incident occurring. As you say, we got to get to the bottom of it with an investigation. But let me just conclude by this, and we got to go, Mike. But when you were there in California after Rodney King riots, and they did implement the Insurrection Act, and troops did come in, did that help quell the riots?
It was so bad that we went to a military base, and then we were dispatched out to different difficult parts of the Los Angeles area. And the part that I was in, we were told that we could not arrest anybody because the jails were full and that the only person we could arrest was somebody who shot at us. So the rules of engagement became completely, it was so foreign to everybody that was out there. We did the best for the folks that were there. I mean, I do have to say that I was completely impressed that the neighborhoods I was in, 90% were good people. 10% were the ones that were destroying the neighborhood. And so, it was heartening to see people come out, thank us for being there. But when the military came in, they weren't prepared. They didn't even have bullets. And so we were still kind of on our own. Wow. I don't know that would be the case. So it really did.
Yeah, I think they would come in more prepared this time, but that's interesting, that perspective, because you certainly lived through it. And thank you for your service. Thank you so much for joining us, and look forward to visiting with you again. Retired Sergeant Mike McGrew with us here on the Ringside Politics program. Let's take a break. Quick timeouts. A lot more coming your way as we're covering the ongoing situation in Minneapolis, the protests, and the very disturbing attacks on ICE continuing by some of these radicals. We'll cover it a lot more when we come back right after this.
Hi, I'm Caleb, and this is my story. I was born with osteogenesis imperfecta, or brittle bone disease. I have broken my bones almost 200 times, and I have had 11 surgeries. But I didn't let that stop me. I love to bike ride, climb, race, and I'm learning how to stand and walk. But I can only do all of this because of generous people like you and Shriners Hospitals for Children.
And for the past 100 years, Shriners Children's has become family to millions of kids. But it's only possible because of people like you.
Shriners Hospitals for Children is only able to provide this world-class, life-changing medical care because of the generous gifts of people just like you.
Because of you, I can ride my bike. I can play basketball. Because of people like you, I can play the trombone. I can smile.
Will you send your love to the rescue today?
When you go online to loveshriners.org, you'll help make all of this possible for kids like me. Like me. Like me.
When you say yes to giving just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as a reminder of all the kids you're helping every day.
Your gift, no matter how small, can help a child today.
This is your moment to make a difference.
When you pick up your phone, Gosh, no, you have it right there. And call to give. You're helping kids like me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, please call again or give right away at loveshriners.org.
Your gift makes a difference. Thank you for giving.
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
All right, welcome back. Continuing our coverage of what is going on in Minneapolis. So the mayor made comments where he blamed ICE agents for, quote, pummeling one of our constituents and shooting him to death. He denounced the impunity of federal agents operating in Minneapolis. Governor Tim Walz called on President Trump to pull ICE out of Minneapolis and allow Minnesota to lead an investigation into the shooting, which what DHS is saying is that the man had a handgun and 2 magazines. He approached the Border Patrol officers, quote, in a violent manner. He resisted when the officers tried to disarm him. An agent shot him in self-defense. So obviously this has led to more protests, and the leaders are just pouring gasoline on the fire there in Minnesota. To add some more perspective to this, we've got on a podcast host, an author. We interviewed him before about his great book about Elon Musk. He's also a spokesperson for Save Our Cities. Let's welcome back to the program Dennis Neal, who's with us here on the Ringside Politics program. Hey, Dennis, how are you?
Hello. Hi, Jeff. Sorry to be here for this particular incident. And of course, there's not all details known, but I think that there's one assumption, if I may, broach with you. And that is when something like this happens, I think that the federal agents that are involved are operating out of fear, feeling in danger. I don't think there's any federal agents out there looking to kill immigrants, illegal immigrants in any way. And yet the local officials sometimes seem to take a posture that acts as if that might be so. Remember, we just saw in Portland, Oregon, it was only a week ago, perhaps, that there was a shooting of 2 people. Every major city official and local official and state legislators got out there hours later. Our thoughts and prayers go to the families. And it turned out they were 2 affiliates of this violent Venezuelan gang. They were wanted in a couple of previous shootings, and even the Portland police had them under investigation. So there's this assumption by local officials that the federal officials are always bad and somehow malevolent in this. And I don't think that that's what's going on.
But I would say, Dennis, you see it in blue cities, in blue states, in red states like here in Louisiana. When we had ICE here, the governor welcomed them. I mean, we had cooperation. We had people taking selfies with these agent and Commander Bavino. He said there were only 1 attack on an ICE agent during all the time that they were here. You go to Minneapolis, and it's constant attacks, and the local officials have a much different posture. But Dennis, didn't President Trump run on this platform that we were going to increase deportations and remove the people that are here illegally that were let in by Joe Biden? Don't ICE agents have to do this to implement that policy? Right. Isn't this the will of the people?
They're enforcing the law and the will of the people. And I saw stunning numbers the other day that said Clinton, during his 8 years, deported 20 million, I think it was. Obama, in his 8 years, deported something like 12 million. Trump has been able to deport perhaps 1.5 or 2 million, and yet there's all this uproar. It's more, is it because of Trump, or is it because they really think that these people who came here illegally, who followed no rules, that they deserve to just be here because they were able to get here? It's just an outrage. I got married to a Canadian, okay? It took us 2 years to get approval for her to come over here and join me. And then it took 25 months to get a green card that then lasted only 24 months. Okay, she followed the rules, but all of these millions of people are supposed to come here, and suddenly they're noble heroes and victims of whatever place they came from. Right. Instead of the fact that they are opportunistic rule breakers who have no respect for the law, and a certain portion of them are hardened criminals, right?
And you know, when we reward people for doing that, it's a slap in the face to your family and so many others who had to follow the law, go through the process, wait in line, do it the right way. And now these people are breaking laws, getting rewarded for it. And now when we're trying to enforce the laws and remove them, you have attacks on ICE. I mean, it's got to be one of the most dangerous jobs in America today to be an ICE agent, Dennis.
Sure. And not just your own danger of being assaulted, but danger of being sued, danger of being fired, danger of getting caught in some kerfuffle. There would be no kerfuffles. There would be no shootings if protesters stood down. Stage a parade separate. Don't go to where they're in enforcement actions and get in their face. I mean, this guy, we know the latest shooting, he was armed. He had magazines or clips apparently, and he comes to them in an aggressive way, and they can see that you're armed, and it's a tense situation. That's no way to be. Well, Chris Rock, I saw this on the X platform, Jeff. Chris Rock years ago put out a funny film where he's a news commentator standing there and explaining, if you want to avoid getting your butt kicked by police, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Right. That guy could have learned from that video.
Well, you know, it's a sad situation that he's dead, but certainly ICE agents have to protect themselves. And if you're coming at them with a weapon, it's going to be a bad result. Dennis Neal, thank you so much. Appreciate your insights. We have, of course, been following the situation in Minneapolis. We'll continue to do that right here on Real America's Voice. Check in with Real America's Voice for the latest coverage of ongoing developments in Minneapolis, and we'll see where this leads. But prayers for the people there, and certainly hope that order is restored, and prayers for the ICE agents that are dealing with a lot of threats against them and their families. All right. I want to encourage all of you to check us out during the week on Ringside Politics, the radio show on WGSO at WGSO.com. I want to give a big thank you to all of you for joining us on all our different platforms, and our great team in Denver for the fantastic work that they do for us all the time right here on Real America's Voice. All right. Check out crewair.net for our poll, and we'll see you next Saturday for another edition of Ringside Politics right here on Real America's Voice. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you later.
America's in a fight for her soul. Our freedoms are under attack. Our values are being torn down. And the same corrupt elites who built this mess think they can silence us. The patriots who still believe in this country. Not a chance. Here at Real America's Voice, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. A movement that says we will not.
The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality,
reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
President Trump delivered on his promise to pardon January 6 defendants, but there are still 12 whose fights are far from over. Even though they've had their sentences commuted, they still cannot vote, possess firearms, receive military pensions and retirement benefits, obtain health care coverage, or secure employment. Stand in the Gap is renewing our Justice Restoration Fund to advocate for full pardons for these patriots. Please visit j6support.com or scan the QR code to support our fight for justice. Scan the QR code or visit j6support.com to make a tax-deductible donation to our Justice Restoration Fund today.
Shining the light on the lunatics on the left. They mock him.
I just think you're dumb.
Trump thanked him.
Bishop Aubrey shines. Thank you, Bishop. Good friend, Bishop Aubrey shines.
Wow.
John Oliver mocks him.
Maybe see why that could be news in Florida. Tampa pastor makes crazy video.
Hillary's book blamed him.
A prominent Trump supporter, Aubrey Shines, produced an online video attacking me.
So he continues to shine the light.
So we say to every leader, every pastor, every civic leader, engaging is not an option. Engaging is a mandate.
America shines when you're connected to Aubrey Shines. Here's your host, Aubrey Shines.
Hello and welcome to America Shines. I am your host, Aubrey Shines. Iran has been dipping in and out of the news as of late due to the people standing up and demanding a change to the current regime. While most expect a protest or similar demonstration to actually happen without intervention, the Iranian regime has taken extreme measures to try and silence the people from exercising a right to protest. Actions include restricted or straight up loss of access to the internet. And in the worst case, Iranian citizens are put in jail or killed just for daring to stand. Joining me to discuss, he is the Deputy Director for the U.S. Office of the National Council of Resistance of Iran, Alireza Jafarzadeh. I want to go straight to a clip before I bring in our guest. I would love to get our guest's take on this. Let's go to the clip. Alireza, we're seeing this all throughout Iran. I have a group of friends that are over in the UK, and they're sharing with me footage that they're getting over in the UK. And this is a very small taste of what's going on. Speak to our audience. What really are American and European guys and girls, what are we looking at when we're seeing these protesters?
Thank you so much, Aubrey, for having me on your show. Certainly since December 28th, when the protests broke out, and it actually broke out on the deteriorating currency rate of Iranian currency, which had lost a good portion of its value. The merchants, the bazaar, the small businesses that started the strike and the protest, it expanded to the rest of the country, the poor, the deprived, smaller towns and cities, and then intellectuals also joined. The protest expanded to over 230 cities in all 31 provinces, and the call immediately turned for ending the rule of the Ayatollahs in Iran, chants of death to Khamenei, which is the supreme leader of the Iranian regime, death to the dictator, and death to the oppressor with the Shah, or the supreme leader, making it very clear that the Iranian population, the same way they fought the Shah and the dictatorship and his savak and single party rule, his repressive things, they're fighting even harder to get rid of the Ayatollahs, and they're not going to settle until the end of the rule of the clerics. Now, of course, the regime has only one answer, and that's sheer repression, opening fire on the demonstrators in various parts of the country. They even went to the hospitals, took out the wounded and finished them off, and killing. Just the level of cruelty has been enormous. We have been able to document the names of 449 of those who have been killed by the Iran regime. As you know, it's extremely difficult to verify, identify those who have been killed, but definitely those who have been killed are thousands, and over 50,000 have been arrested. But none of that is going to work, because when you have a nation determined to end the rule of the clerics, no amount of cruelty can stop it. There's ebbs and flows, up and down and all of that. But at the end of the day, there's only one solution for Iran, and that's overthrow of the mullahs by the people of Iran.
So, Ali Raza, let me ask you this, and this is just a segue question. I'm watching also, and we have the film on this here. There are dozens and dozens of mosques that are being burned down by the protesters. There almost seems to be a rebellion against that form of Islam in the country. Would you speak to that?
Well, certainly, what the Ayatollahs have promoted over the years is not a religion. This is fascism cloaked under the cover of religion. Since day one, Khomeini said that, he represents Islam, which is a religion of 98% of the Iranian population. But the people gradually learned that this is not it. This is not their religion that they know over the years. This is pure fascism cloaked under that. That's why the population rose up. The main opposition force against the Iranian regime that has paid a big price, known as the MEK, they are Muslims, but they're saying our religion is about peace, about love, about freedom. What the mullahs are offering is repression, killings, under, of course, the name of God, and then extending that beyond the Iranian borders, sponsoring terrorism, having all these proxy groups around the world. They went as far as Venezuela, in the Western Hemisphere, Argentina. They were behind the bombing of the Jewish Community Center in Argentina. We exposed a lot of information about that. So what you see in Iran, that is the people are targeting the centers of repression, but also the places that are symbols of the Iran regime. There are some locations, whatever they call it, that are theological places or places that the mullahs group their own people and attack the protesters, the headquarters of the Basij and the Revolutionary Guards. These are the places that have been targeted by the Iranian people, by the youth, and what they call resistance units on the ground. These are mostly young people who are in small groups, but they, work together, and their job and responsibility is to ensure the continuity of the protest, to ensure that the focus remains on the overthrow of the regime and nothing else, to ensure that the regime is not able to derail or dissuade or deflate the uprisings.
I only have about 1 minute left in this segment, and I would love to be able to get your take on this, Ali Raza, and that's this. There was always a lot of protest here on our college campuses as related to all things Middle East, especially what we were watching in Gaza. Why is it, in your opinion, sir, we don't see the same protests standing with young men and women that just simply desire freedom in one of the most ancient, beautiful countries that this globe has ever seen, and that is old Persia. We call it Iran now. Why the lack of protest here in America? Your opinion. Take 40 seconds to address our audience.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, even though there are a lot of protests, happening, and right here in Capitol, we just had a big one in front of the White House. There were similar protests in, Los Angeles, Northern California, and other Texas and other places. But I agree, there has to be a lot more than that, because this is really not just about the people of Iran or a nation thousands of miles away. This is about standing for principles, for humanity, standing against fascism. That's why I think the American public, the younger generation and others should understand what's really happening in Iran is a drive and a strive for freedom, democracy, political pluralism, separation of religion and state, and gender equality. These are principles of our leader, a female leader, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, who has put it in a 10-point platform. That's the desire of the Iranian people, and I think everyone around the world should support that.
Yeah, I do too. I'm coming right back. He is the director for the U.S. Office of National Council of Resistance of Iran. He is Alireza Jafarzadeh. We'll be right back.
Shouting the battle cry of freedom.
Ooh, fun. Yikes. The leaky refrigerator coil card. Is that bad? Oh, death! Death? Of an AC fan motor. Oh, no. But your future is bright with an American Home Shield warranty to protect your covered appliances and home systems. Are there bees behind me?
My bees escaped.
Phil, we talked about this. American Home Shield. Don't worry, bee warranty.
Don't kibble your dog.
Oh, hey, Dr. Marty.
Hey, back.
But what's wrong with this? It's premium stuff.
Let's check it out. It's still kibble, which means it's ultra-processed at extremely high temperatures that destroy the nutrients in the food. But at Dr. Marty, we gently freeze-dried premium meats, fruit, and vegetables, locking in their nutrients.
Never kibbled.
You got it, kid, and they're gonna love it.
This was the last thing my Charlie ever wrote. The message of Jesus changes everything, changes your life, your choices, your eternity. And Charlie wanted to leave behind something that would point people to Christ, not to fame or power, just truth.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
And my husband called his final book, Stop in the Name of God, because resting in God's grace is what our world has forgotten to do. So just stop and listen, believe and rest, because this is Charlie's final and greatest message to all of us.
I'm actually finishing a book. So I actually don't work one day out of the week. So I take a Sabbath every Saturday. Turn my phone off, no work, just kids, just family. It's an amazing blessing. Every Saturday, totally off. It's amazing how much work you can get done in 6 days, though.
I believe that honoring the Sabbath is the commandment that allows you to honor the other 9 commandments. When you're honoring the Sabbath, it's easier to have no other gods before God, because that day is built in time as a temple, as a sanctuary to put God first, to not have idols.
If you are feeling overrun by society, you might be feeling depressed or anxious, turn your phone off for one day. No social media, no work. Your mental health will improve dramatically. You can hang out with friends, you can go for a walk, but don't work for one day. That is a day for worship. That is a day for the Lord. That is a day to go be with God. That is a day to read your Bible and be out of the busyness and the hurriedness and the noise of this world. I could be traveling for 5 or 6 days, but if I at least get one good Sabbath with my family, it charges all back up.
Call, scan, or go online to support TPUSA and receive your copy of Charlie's final book.
We rally round the flagpoles, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
So now that we are a bit caught up as it relates to the genesis of the protests against the Iranian regime, we would be remiss if we didn't touch on the various instances of human rights abuses seen during this time. Obviously, any country that positions itself as an established nation shouldn't have instances like these, not even as an allegation. And President Trump has been clear as it relates to this situation. So I'm going to bring back in to discuss this with me. Again, he is the Deputy Director for the U.S. Office of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. He is Alireza Jafarzadeh. Before he comes, I want to show you, our audience, a clip, and then I want our guests to be able to comment on it. Let's go to the clip.
American. So with Iran, they were going to hang 837 people, and I let them be known that, and we let them know that if that happens, that will be a very bad day for them. And they decided not to do it. They didn't hang the people. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the future, but supposedly they've taken that off the table. But they were going to, last week, they were going to hang on Thursday or Wednesday. They were going to hang, I think, 837 people, and they didn't hang anybody. So we're just going to have to see what happens with Iran. Is the military option off the table?
Ali Raza, that is the President of the United States of America, someone who I traveled with back in 2015, 2016. Barack Hussein Obama, when he was in office, saw a resistance that was happening in Iran. He seemed to have drawn a line, but he never did anything about it. He seemed, in my opinion, sir, to kind of capitulate to the regime there in Iran, sending them billions of dollars at night on unmarked planes, really funneling in to a regime that was just crushing his people. I've never really been able to understand it. When you hear President Trump talk like this, what goes through your mind? I'm just curious. Ali Raza.
Well, I think what's important is to understand really what has happened in the past over 4 decades when it comes to policy of the West related to Iran. The policy has been predominantly a policy of appeasement, whether it was various administrations here in the United States or Europe who were just rushing to embrace it. They paid no attention to the killings in Iran. Actually, when we first exposed the nuclear sites in Natanz and Iraq in August of 2002, which triggered the inspections of Iranian nuclear sites by the UN nuclear watchdog, the IAEA, that was a great opportunity for the outside world to act and try to end the nuclear weapons program of Iran. And guess what? They went exactly the other way around. They rushed to Tehran and gave them concessions. And, we exposed nuclear sites after nuclear sites, different projects. Instead of seeing momentum shifting in that direction and building pressure on the regime and holding them accountable, money was rushed to Tehran. So the mullahs are so used to getting concessions. Now, of course, circumstances have now, as you said, extensively changed. You have the Iran regime, which actually lost much of its clout in the region. All of those proxies are pretty much shattered or weakened. Their biggest ally in the region, Assad in Syria, is gone. Their biggest ally in the Western Hemisphere, Maduro, is gone. And then inside Iran, you have had rounds and rounds of major uprisings showing the vulnerability of the Iranian regime, showing to the world that the regime ruling Iran is not 10 feet tall, and then adding to it a decisive approach by the West, including Europe, which surprisingly they're taking action. So the momentum has shifted, and I think when the president of the United States makes the statements in favor of the people of Iran, in favor of the protesters, and in favor of holding the regime accountable, the mullahs pay attention. They remember that Qasem Soleimani, the terror master, who was behind much of terrorism against the countries in the region, but also against the Iranian people. Our own people were killed by Qasem Soleimani people. So when Qasem Soleimani was taken out in January 2020, the mullahs got that message. That's the kind of approach that I think will send a strong message to the mullahs, but also to the people of Iran.
I'm glad that you referenced Soleimani. I remember that incident very, very well. It's when Donald Trump was sitting at dinner, actually, with Xi Jinping of China at Mar-a-Lago, only to whisper to him, in essence, hey, we just took out one of the guys that has been a bad actor on the stage here. And it seems like the mullahs really do respect strength. They respect someone that will draw the line and mean exactly what they say. There also seems to be a turn, my friend, as it relates to the younger generation. We've done the demographic breakdown. There are a lot of young men, brilliant young men and women. They just want freedom. They want freedom to do what they want to live a life where their young girls Their women are not ostracized for desiring education, that they can walk down the streets if they want and hold hands and go to an ice cream shop and have some great food. And it seems like the old regime is fighting against it. You talked about the proxies, whether the Hezbollah or the Houthis. Those proxies are dying, and they're dying rather quickly. In your opinion, how far off in the distance will we see a free Iranian people?
Well, the prospect is so bright because what's happening in Iran, you see the protests, you see the momentum, and you have seen a history, at least since 2017, several rounds of major uprisings. But we should understand that every time there's a new round of protests, it's different than the previous one. It's getting a lot deeper, more focused on the overthrow of the regime. People are learning, especially the organized resistance, on how to end the rule of the clerics, because at the end of the day, it's the people of Iran, the organized resistance, who will have to confront the Revolutionary Guards and end their rules. Now, the good thing is that there is a history of resistance against them. We mentioned the main opposition, the MEK. I have before me right here, this is a book. You can see how thick it is. It contains names and particulars of over 20,000 members of this movement who have been killed by the regime. A lot of them very young people, men and women, with all the details of them. This is the price that has been paid. That's why the regime is so afraid of its organized opposition, because they know this is a network, a structure that is on the ground. Their job has been all of these years to fight the regime. And now they are further empowered because they have learned. Most importantly, women play a huge role within this movement. It's led by a woman, Mrs. Maryam Rajavi, who has introduced a 10-point platform for the transitional period after, the fall of the Ayatollahs and suggestions for the future of Iran. And she has said, we have all the capability and intent to first end the rule of the clerics, to fight them and overthrow them, but also see a peaceful transition to a representative government. She said that there's going to be free and fair elections within 6 months after the fall of the Ayatollahs, and her sole responsibility, the key responsibility within this period, is to set up for that. But then, once that you have that Constituent Assembly, they will be responsible for drafting a new constitution, putting it to vote of the population, and determine the future of Iran. That's why, you have a nation that stood up against the Shah's dictatorship because he was repressive. He had secret police savak. He built the notorious Evin prison. He dissolved all political parties and only, allowed his own party. And he was so corrupt, stealing money from the people. That era is over, and the people are vehemently opposing the current theocracy. So the future there's only one way ahead of the people of Iran. That's freedom. That's separation of religion and state. That's political pluralism. And that's a kind of peaceful Iran that would play a huge role in the region, not just for the people of Iran. Right now, Aubrey, the regime is the head of the snake of war and terror in the whole region. You're not going to see peace so long as the mullahs are in power. To the contrary, when Iran is free, think about the impact they would have in the region, but also the rest of the world.
Yeah. 10 seconds, my friend. Where can our audience find you?
Well, we're on social media. We're on our website, www, as you can see here, ncrius.org, and also use our handle at @NCRIUS. We're on X, on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. That's where they can find us, and I encourage everyone to really be active, to get engaged. There's a lot you can do. You can make a huge difference in affecting policy here, informing the American public, but also helping the administration to make the right decisions.
He is the director for the U.S. Office of National Council of Resistance. You've heard him very, very clearly. He's Ali Raza Jafarzadeh. Go out and check him out. It will be worth your time.
Freedom, we will rally from the hillside.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ron Paul, For 50 years, I've watched Washington betray the American people with dishonest money. Nixon's closure of the gold window made endless debt and war inevitable. Today, our middle class, our currency, and our economy are dying in real time. In my new book, Dispatches to Future Generations, I reveal how we got here, plus the solution, gold. And that's why I'm partnering with Birch Gold Group to give you a free copy of my book along with their free info kit on gold. Click below to get both right now. Inside the info kit, you'll learn how to move your IRA or 401k into physical gold. So click below to claim your free copy of my Dispatches to Future Generations and Birch Gold's info kit today.
When you look at your grocery bill, is it so high it knocks you off your feet? It's time to stand up and save with InstaSeal by Bell & Howell, the world's first vertical vacuum sealing system designed to save you money. Unlike ordinary storage bags that trap air in, spoiling your food, InstaSeal removes the air completely, extending freshness up to 6 times longer. Now that's saving. Look, flat sealers create a big mess, but InstaSeal is upright, mess-free, and easy. The secret is Smart Seal technology. With just one touch, it auto-feeds the bag to seal, pauses to vacuum out the air, then continues to perfectly seal. Plus, InstaSeal has a motor powerful enough to crush cans, but smart enough to save crackers from turning to dust. Forget big, bulky sealers you have to put away. InstaSeal's compact design stays to help you seal and save every day. Got a great deal on chicken, meat, or fish? InstaSeal protects it from freezer burn. Now buy groceries in bulk. Make meals ahead of time. InstaSeal and save. It even works with all universal storage system bags. Buy on sale meats. InstaSeal and save. When you add it all up, InstaSeal will help you seal and save hundreds on your family's grocery bill. Call or go online now and get the complete InstaSeal system that keeps food fresh 6 times longer with enough storage bags to fill your entire fridge for the special TV discount price of just $99.99. It comes with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free. You get it all, an incredible value for one low price. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-308-6802 or go to buyinstaseal.com. So call 1-800-308-6802 or order online at buyinstaseal.com.
Rally round the flagpoles, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
So another development this past week at least, has to do with President Trump's attendance at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. For some background, the World Economic Forum is an event in which various world leaders and some business professionals access their budgeting to determine what capital ventures should get the time of day. Of course, President Trump's president was under a watchful eye, especially with the acquisition of the Greenland being persistent point that he often is raising, so much so that President Trump has indicated that a deal, a framework, has actually been established. I want to bring back someone you guys seem to really, really love, as I do. Joining me to discuss this is Promethean Action Midwest Coordinator. She's Susan Kokenda. Before Susan comes on, there was a clip that I saw that I found myself screaming during the C-SPAN when I was watching this, and I couldn't wait for my guest to come on to address this issue. Let's take a look at it, and we'll go to our guest.
Well, I think you should start at a much higher level. Okay. We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind.
Susan, when I saw that, I confess, outside of you, I have some buddies over in the UK. We were buzzing each other like little kids, finding the new pizza spot to go to and have a bite to eat. I know there are a lot of things that are going on. We're looking at ICE in Minnesota. We're looking at the Epstein files. We're looking at Jack Smith, rather. I'm not saying those are not important issues, but isn't this the real issue? Isn't this really the head of the monster that has fed all of these NGOs and USAID crap that has, in my opinion, really grown strength to these various smaller issues that we're dealing with here in America? Didn't Lutnick really kind of nail this on the head? This is the head of the monster. Susan, am I incorrect for making that assertion?
You are absolutely right, and I'm with you. That was my favorite moment of the entire event. I mean, obviously, Donald Trump was Donald Trump. Scott Bessent was at his best, comparing Governor Newsom to a Ken doll. But what Lutnick did in those opening remarks was really the theme of what the administration intended to deliver, and I think they did, at the World Economic Forum. Because what President Trump campaigned on, what I and millions of others supported him on, was precisely this. The problem is a system. The globalist system is the problem. Now, as you say, they have tentacles. As an outgrowth of the system, you have terrible policies like unfettered immigration, like social dislocation, green policies, free trade. But you have to take the system down if you're going to permanently begin to address those questions and repair the damage. And that is what this administration did. The other, I think, highlight was a comment that Scott Bessent made. I think it was on the sidelines. It was covered, although not in video, because believe me, I looked. At one point, he said, we'll be hosting the G20, and we want to invite other countries to join us in changing the way they run their economy. And then he hit the theme, I think, of what this administration really is all about, which is grow, baby, grow. He, President Trump and others, they're all very clear. You don't just cut your way out of crises, although there's nonsense we need to cut. The key difference between our system, which does have a name, it's called the American system, and the globalist system, which used to be called the British system, is they want the pie to shrink, and they're the ones who are going to get whatever is left. The American system says, we want the pie to grow for everybody. Grow, baby, grow.
Susan, I know I've already said this probably almost ad nauseum speaking with you. I really believe your finger's on the pulse of this whole thing. I love the way metaphorically you gave the image to our audience for them to understand. That's why I tried to tee it up to say, here's the head of the monster. Here are its tentacles. And these are the other areas. Again, I'm not saying to our audience that these other issues with Jack Smith and what's going on with ICE and these are real issues. I get it. We should pay attention. But I believe we can chew gum and walk at the same time. I'm looking at, Susan, almost the total crash. The party is over. Thank God for Donald John Trump on this issue. Please take another moment here. We only have a few more minutes here in this segment. I'll give it to you here. Why is it so important for America to understand that we're winning and we're going to continue to win if we stay in this direction? Susan.
Well, look, Donald Trump is actually reversing a slide which has accelerated since 1971. When we ended the Bretton Woods system, took the dollar off the gold reserve standard, went into a system where everything became a financial income stream for a powerful financier elite. And then the kind of final nail in the coffin was free trade, because that's what finally ultimately gutted our working class, our middle class. Well, you could say the final nail was 2008 with the financial crash, and then we bailed out the big financial institutions. And what Trump and as you heard Lutnick say, globalization has hurt the working men, and we're changing that. This administration is saying we are reorienting the economy away from feeding financial streams back to what actual people need to live and grow: cheap housing, energy, food, health care that you can afford. So everything Trump is doing, when you put it in the framework of changing this last several decades of slide into a world of financialization and turning it back to a world of production, it all fits.
Yeah. She is the head Promethean Action Midwest coordinator. She's Susan Kakinda. I'm bringing her right back.
We will welcome to our numbers the loyal.
When surprise breakdowns happen, American Home Shield will be there to fix or replace parts of the systems and appliances you rely on every day. They help protect your time and money by connecting you with qualified pros and helping pay for covered repairs or replacements. AHS offers flexible and affordable plans for every home. Sign up today and get $200 off select plans with code AHS200. Visit AHS.com or call 833-PLAN-AHS.
It's fun for me to win on the course, but it's even more fun to win on Deal Dash.
Lori won $2,000 Tiffany earrings for just $1, and Joseph won an iPad for just $6. There's millions of fast auctions, so try today at DealDash.com for $50 of free credit and your first win guaranteed.
This was the last thing my Charlie ever wrote. The message of Jesus changes everything, changes your life, your choices, your eternity. And Charlie wanted to leave behind something that would point people to Christ, not to fame or power, just truth.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
And my husband called his final book, Stop in the Name of God, because resting in God's grace is what our world has forgotten to do. So just stop and listen, believe and rest, because this is Charlie's final and greatest message to all of us.
I'm actually finishing a book. So I actually don't work one day out of the week. So I take a Sabbath every Saturday. Turn my phone off, no work, just kids, just family. It's an amazing blessing. Every Saturday, totally off. It's amazing how much work you can get done in 6 days, though.
I believe that honoring the Sabbath is the commandment that allows you to honor the other 9 commandments. When you're honoring the Sabbath, it's easier to have no other gods before God because that day is built in time as a temple, as a sanctuary to put God first, to not have idols.
If you are feeling overrun by society, you might be feeling depressed or anxious, turn your phone off for one day. No social media, no work. Your mental health will improve dramatically. You can hang out with friends, you can go for a walk, but don't work for one day. That is a day for worship. That is a day for the Lord. That is a day to go be with God. That is a day to read your Bible and be out of the busyness and the hurriedness and the noise of this world. I could be traveling for 5 or 6 days, but if I at least get one good Sabbath with my family, it charges all back up.
Call, scan, or go online to support TPUSA and receive your copy of Charlie's final book.
Did you know that thousands of authors across the country have written books and published them with Page Publishing? If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion of the publishing world to make it easy for you.
Call or scan for your free writer's guide today.
We rally round the flagpoles, rally once again, shouting the battle cry of freedom.
There was a classic movie that I used to pay attention to when I was very, very small. It was called The Wizard of Oz. One of the funny parts to me was when the wizard himself was behind the curtain, and it took little Toto to come and kind of remove the curtain, and the wizard began to scream out, hey, don't pay attention to the guy that's behind the curtain. As a kid, it has a way of stimulating the imagination. I think this is what we're watching as it relates to the Trump and his administrative team. They're really bringing and exposing the wizard in every way imaginable. There's a video that I saw, and I thought, oh, my God, this is it. This is the wizard being exposed, thank God, to Donald J. Trump. I want to show you a clip, and then we'll bring back in the Action Midwest coordinator, Susan Kakinda, to give us a perspective on it. Let's go to the clip, please.
Let me be direct. We are in the midst of a rupture, not a transition. Over the past 2 decades, a series of crises in finance, health, energy, and geopolitics have laid bare the risks of extreme global integration. But more recently, great powers have begun using economic integration as weapons tariffs as leverage, financial infrastructure as coercion, supply chains as vulnerabilities to be exploited. You cannot live within the lie of mutual benefit through integration when integration becomes the source of your subordination.
Isn't this the divorcement, Susan? Aren't we seeing this barbaric relationship, this dissolution marriage that is finally ending from these bad actors that are out there? I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can, Susan, with this. But doesn't this guy embody the very thing that we're getting rid of? Isn't his admittance that tariffs are being used, and he's almost painting it as bad? In other words, they have an entitlement mind. We're supposed to take care of these people the rest of their lives instead of taking care of ourselves first. What don't they get? Doesn't he get this, that he sounds like he's reading from, I don't know, the first clause of the Socialist Manifesto, that blame others, but we're really the ones to blame here? Doesn't the Prime Minister of Canada, doesn't he get what he's saying? Or is he just, I don't know, that myopic in his thinking that he's not thinking through this? I'd love to hear your take on it, Susan.
Well, I think he knows exactly what he's saying. I mean, let's not forget, Mark Carney is the only person in the world who's been the head of two central banks. He was the head of the Bank of Canada, and then the only person in history where a foreigner was the head of the Bank of England, which is really the center of this global financier elite. So when Mark Carney speaks, it's not from, some level of a prime minister of a small country. He's speaking on behalf of the global financier elite. A couple of months ago, he said something very similar. He said the post-war rules-based order is over. And he elaborated again in terms of this question of the rupture. And what he's recognizing is that the world in which the United States was a pawn or the muscle for a global financier elite, where we basically did their bidding in terms of economic policy, in terms of perpetual wars, in terms of the advance of the green agenda and free trade, that was the role we played. And Donald Trump is in now with far more power than he had in his first administration, because he knows what he's up against. And I think the American population has gotten a lot smarter, and he's going for it. He is breaking this rules-based order. This is a complete rupture. And what Trump is saying is, we want a world of sovereign nations. We don't want a world in which we have to submit to your financial rules, your green agenda, your decision of who's the enemy in the world, and we have to go fight them. We're going to have a world of sovereign nations. And we may not align, in terms of all policies with another nation, but we can work with them on the basis of what's best for us and what's best for that nation. And that is a complete rupture from the rules-based order. By the way, just before I got on, I saw that President Trump rescinded his invitation to Prime Minister Carney to join the Board of Peace. So Trump understood what Carney was saying. Carney understood what Carney was saying.
Susan, I saw the same thing, and I chuckled. I came this close to really kind of making an insert here for this conversation. But I want you to speak to another group of people, if you don't mind. Pretend that the individuals that you're speaking to, and again, we'll make sure it gets to all those markets. There are a lot of people that really don't understand how to connect the dots here. If you're speaking to a group of people that, I don't know, maybe they think they're in New York City, the best thing they could do is this so-called democratic socialism, which is it's a myth. It doesn't really exist. Help them understand what Donald Trump and his team are doing actually benefits them. Can you give them a 101 moment why they should really be paying attention to issues of this magnitude and how it actually impacts them for the good if they could some kind of way divorce themselves from the I'm a Republican or I am a Democrat or a Democrat socialist, which is no more than a communist, but make them understand that. Susan.
Well, I often default to something that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in an interview, where he said the Democratic strategy is to compensate the loser. In other words, our policies have taken away your ability to take care of yourself, to have a productive job, to provide for your family, to be confident in the future. And so we take that away and we make you dependent. You're a loser, and we're going to throw a few sops at you in terms of funds and benefits and so on, so that you can continue to survive. And what Bessent said is, I disagree with that, because I don't think the vast majority of Americans, working Americans, blue-collar Americans, middle-class Americans, Americans on the lower end of the income scale, I don't think you're losers. He said, I think the system doesn't work for you. And that is the point I think people need to understand, that we have been in a system where the vast majority of Americans below the billionaire layer, or maybe millionaire these days layer, have been pretty much thrown to the side of the road. And if you look at, for example, the way our society should work, go back to Detroit in 1960, where we had the highest per capita standard of living in the country. Blue-collar auto workers, black, white, whatever, could own a home, could raise 5 kids. Those kids could go to college and have a productive job if they wanted to, or they stayed in the auto industry, or they became an engineer. And that's what's been taken away from us. And again, then you're supposed to live in a world where you're compensated as a loser. Well, I think people, once they reawaken to the idea that I can be a productive person, I can be a winner, I don't have to constantly scramble to figure out how I'm going to survive. And, if you want to just look at the metrics, in November alone, because of the Trump administration policies of reshoring manufacturing, giving the tax and credit support to manufacturing and other companies to do this, we broke ground. This is November. I don't have the December figures yet. We broke ground on 133 factories, 199 warehouses, and some number in between of processing plants. So in 1 month, over 400 new facilities had ground broken, which means people are working in them right now at good-paying jobs, and many more people will be working in them once they open their doors and start producing again.
Susan, I'm glad that, and I hate that we have to go on that note there, because I have a ton of stats in front of me. I don't think, and I understand why the mainstream media, legacy media, they don't want this information to get out there. You're talking about metrics. We're talking about metrics. I have guys and girls that are the financial gurus in the biggest think tanks that come on so often here. I think what our country is really about to see is really a renaissance. And I think when these numbers really begin to kick in, I'm talking about manufacturing jobs building ships, et cetera, that's going to be happening. And with the 2.4 million already leaving our nation, I think that's huge. Susan, I only have 5 seconds. Where can our audience find you, please?
You can go to Promethean Action's website and find all of our content.
We'll make sure that we post everything. She, again, is the Action Midwest coordinator. She's Susan Kakinda. People, go out and check her out.
We are springing to the call of our brothers gone before.
America's in a fight for her soul. Our freedoms are under attack. Our values are being torn down. And the same corrupt elites who built this mess think they can silence us. The patriots who still believe in this country. Not a chance. Here at Real America's Voice, we're standing shoulder to shoulder with AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, a movement that says we will not be silenced.
There is no force on earth that can stop us from saving our country.
The voice of millions of patriots who refuse to kneel to tyranny. This is the movement of fighters, men and women who still believe in God, family, and the American dream. The conservative alternative to AARP.
Real rights, they come from God.
If you're ready to stand up and join the fight, go to amac.us/RAV right now. That's amac.us/RAV, because this isn't just about politics. It's about saving America. Faith, freedom, America first. AMAC and Real America's Voice, united for the Republic.
Hey folks, it's your friend John Rich. I co-founded Old Glory Bank because we heard too many stories about people getting canceled by their bank because they didn't agree with their politics. The government wanted to know where you shop. If you bought a Bible or you shopped at a sporting goods store, you're probably on a list. We created Old Glory Bank because America needed a bank that would protect their privacy and security. Exercising your constitutional rights is not a criminal activity, and neither is loving your country. At Old Glory Bank, we stand with you.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
I'm a J6er, and I spent 3 months in jail and about a year in prison.
I spent 4 years out of an 18-year sentence in prison.
J6ers have been smeared and defamed by the media, persecuted by the government, and treated like terrorists.
In reality, J6ers are patriotic men and women, mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers from all walks of life.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
And we need your help.
For just $10 or more, you're helping these patriots get mental, physical, and spiritual help.
Please scan the QR code or go to j6support.com to donate $10 or more to support these American patriots.
Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
I'm a J6er. I spent 1,143 days in prison.
About a year in prison.
We were prosecuted, persecuted.
J6ers have been treated like terrorists.
And we need your help.
Stand in the Gap was founded to stand in the gap for J6ers working to rebuild their lives after being incarcerated.
For just $10 or more, you can help these patriots get back on their feet again. Go now to j6support.com and donate today.
I brought in our first guest for a purpose. I wanted you, our audience, to have a visual what's going on, because what we do here in America actually impacts the entire globe. Now, you say, well, we're just 250 years. How can we touch parts of the world that have, several thousand years to our liking? Well, it's simple. This nation, whether you understand it or not, whether you like it or not, it was built upon a Christian foundation. I always encourage everyone that pay attention, please go back and study the founders, what they believed in. Now, before you write me and say, well, these were a bunch of racists, that just tells me you've brought in, I don't know, some Instagram moment of your life or TikTok moment where you believe this silly stuff. These guys had a belief system that was based out of a Christology position. Their position was Christ had to be the center. Go back and look at the documents. And before you tell me, well, they had slaves, they had this, please get a better understanding. It's a horrible argument that really has been pushed forth by a lot of people that just really hate this nation. There were crises, but we always overcome those crises. The reason I brought in our second guest, she gets it. Everything that we do in this nation, again, you have to understand our origin. How did we get here? Here's what we do understand, and this is why I used a video clip I did in an earlier segment, because I wanted you, our audience, not just to see the Iranian issue. And again, this is not me divorcing ourselves from what's going on with ICE or what's going on in Minnesota or Jack Smith. These are all issues, but it's what I said to our prior guests. I believe we can chew gum and walk at the same time. I don't think we just have to be so myopic that we only focus on one thing. Well, take, for instance, the video clip that I shared with you. I want to share it again because here's really the crux of the matter. Let's go to the clip.
Well, I think you should start at a much higher level. Okay. We are in Davos at the World Economic Forum. And the Trump administration and myself, we are here to make a very clear point. Globalization has failed the West and the United States of America. It's a failed policy. It is what the WEF has stood for, which is export, offshore, far shore, find the cheapest labor in the world, and the world is a better place for it. The fact is, it has left America behind. It has left the American workers behind.
He understands it. I hope you're getting this here. Notice where the United States is this week. We're at the World Economic Forum. This is where all of your top countries, they're there. Top business people, they're there. These are even fund managers that actually they manage in the trillions of dollars collectively all of the globe's money. Guess what they're having to do? They're having now to come and deal with a leader that understands all these things. I have to confess to you, our audience, When I was in college, at one point having a Middle Eastern political class or two, I used to wonder in my mind during that time, what happened to us? Why can't we go back to the 1913 era, at least economically, where there were no taxes? Imagine you making whatever you make, but you're able to keep 90+% of everything you do. The only thing you and I would be doing basically is funding our police and funding our military. That should be it. Donald Trump understands that. And this is what he's trying to bring us back to. Now, the leaders, the world economic leaders, they hate him because, as Lutnick said there, we have dismantled the globalists and their idea to control us. Donald John Trump understands that. He understands that if we are the number one, and I do mean we are the number one that everyone wants to come to, why should not the globe be paying just to do business with us? When you're number one, you exude a ton of strength, not just militarily. I'm talking economically. And if we're number one, why are we part of anything that would usurp authority over us, take away our manufacturing jobs? That's what Lutnick was talking about when he was talking about export. You want to build cars? You want to sell them here in America? Come here and build them. Oh, if not, then we're going to charge you a tariff. You're not going to undermine us and then help us dissolve ourselves. What Trump, his administration has done, when you don't understand it, you don't understand that we, the American tax guy and girl, we have actually been, through our tax dollars, we have been funding others to destroy us, to crush us, whether it was with solar, whether it was with individuals that were producing automobiles and we were sending them out to Mexico or to Canada. That day is over. There's a new sheriff in town. That's Donald John Trump and his guys. People, voting really matters. Understanding these issues are paramount to your and my success. I hope and pray that we can continue the direction that we've been going in this nation.
Real freedom, and we'll fill the vacant rank.
Minnesota's headlines are getting wild. Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar are being accused of massive fraud, and it's so bad, all you can do is laugh at this point. So from Real America's Music, the label that brought you the #1 hit, Anthem of the Free,